Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for downloading Sporgy for free on iTunes or from ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate Sporgy 5 stars on iTunes and help to tell others about Sporgy by leaving a comment. Thank you for following Sporgy on Twitter at Sporgy Podcast and on Instagram at Sporgy_podcast. Please follow Sporgy on Facebook to like and share Sporgy. You can also email the show. The address is sporgy at ChristopherMedia.net. If you would like to donate to Sporgy, you can click on the PayPal button at ChristopherMedia.net. If you use Amazon.com, please click and bookmark the Amazon link at ChristopherMedia.net. It will not cost you any extra money, and you will help to support Sporgy. If you are looking to launch your own website, please click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net. Christopher Media uses HostGator to host all of the shows produced by the Christopher Media Network. When you click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net and sign up for HostGator, you're helping to support Sporgy. We know that choosing the perfect gift for a man is a difficult task, but not anymore. TheBroBasket.com is here to help. We all know men are hard to shop for, but what do guys actually like? Their favorite alcohol, that's what. It could be craft beer, wine, whiskey, scotch, or tequila. TheBroBasket.com will put it in a gift basket full of their favorite gear and goodies. You can customize your own Bro Basket or choose from a variety of different Bro Baskets, like the Ultimate Import Sampler, the Jack and Coke gift set, or the Junior Executive gift basket. Boozeless, but still cool, Bro Baskets are also available. TheBroBasket.com gives you many shipping options to choose from, including rush delivery and Saturdays. 21 and over, please. State and local laws apply. Beer, wine, and liquor are not available for shipping in all states. You can help to support Christopher Media by clicking through the TheBroBasket.com banner at ChristopherMedia.net. Men used to be hard to shop for. TheBroBasket.com.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. Welcome to Sporgy, the show that gives you half-ass sports fans giving their half-ass opinions. And now, here are your hosts.
What is the sports story on it? First of all, the only reason anyone gives a fuck about Rhonda Rousey is because a couple fucking knuckle-dragging mouth breathers thought she was hot. That's it. The bitch hasn't really won anything in, over a year now? She got her ass beat the last 2-3 times it mattered.
The biggest sports story for Rhonda Rousey it's kind of the fact that she lost, but it's how she lost. Women's UFC fighting was defined with Rhonda Rousey. She broke out. She was an inspiration for women. She did so much to further women's equality, especially in sports such as that. And then she lost to Holly Holmes and disappeared off the grid for a year. Nobody knew where she was, what she was doing. She comes back this year, loses again, and once again, she hasn't done any interview. She hasn't said shit. Nobody's seen her. And one of the talking heads on SportsCenter said it best. If you're trying to break open a sport and you're trying to be a role model and define your place, then win or lose, you need to do those interviews. You know, all the people in boxing, professional boxing, the big headlining acts, when they win or lose, they still give interviews. Football teams, when they lose the bowl game, when they lose a playoff game, the losing coach and the headlining all-stars get up to the podium and do their interview. Good, bad, or other, they show up and say something. Rhonda Rousey just fucking appeared. You're the headliner.
Yeah, she did kind of pull a Cam Newton.
I mean, I guess I get it from that point of view as to why it's a story. Personally, to me, she ain't nothing more than fucking... Who was the bitch in tennis that everybody was goo-goo gaga over who never won a goddamn thing?
Kornikova.
Thank you.
Or Sharapova. Both of them, really.
No, Maria Sharapova's actually won majors. She's actually won championships. She's actually backed up her good looks with something. Kornikova just... Here's my ass, here's my titties, here's my little short skirt, let me hop around and, there we go. Can I get on FHM? Can I get on Stuff Magazine? Okay. What's Enrique Iglesias doing for the rest of his life? Because I'm going to marry him and not spend any of my championship money because I don't have any. What the fuck? It's like...
Sergey's Miss Peter.
Maybe I've been listening too much Joe Rogan and his podcast. Because I'm not even into UFC, but he's all about it. He used to do it, blah blah blah, this and that. To me, I agree with him. There's way better female fighters. There's way better role models to hold up. If she wasn't white, pretty, and blonde, pretty to some people and blonde, no one would be talking about her. No one would.
Right. And I totally agree with you. Her image is everything. But that's just it. She's supposed to be hot to all these guys and girls and whatever, which, you know, you would never see someone like that in an octagon, but she was there. And that was supposed to be this breakout thing. And, I mean, you can argue the people she fought wasn't nobodies, you know. And then all of a sudden she comes up against Holly Holmes and gets, knocked the fuck out.
Well, how'd she lose this Holly Holmes match in this match? By standing up. She has no game until she gets to the ground. That's it.
Oh yeah, her armbar is her finishing move. It's like WWE, finish him. You know, that's true.
She can't stand up and go toe to toe in a slugfest.
She's not Kimbo Slice. You know, she's not Tank Abbott. You know, these people are knuckle fighters. You know, but you're right. And 48 seconds of taking some punches from Nunes, and she was out.
Yeah, I know. There's enough fucking memes on the internet to show that.
The internet has been merciless.
Well, that's just it, though, is when she was winning and she was beating all these people, nobodies or not or whatever, she was coming out, she stayed in the octagon, she talked her talk, you know, and she was walking the walk at the same time. She was hurting people. But as soon as she loses, it's like you don't hear from her. Like this whole year, nobody knew where Rhonda Rousey went. And then all of a sudden, she's back. She's badder. She's kicking ass. She's coming to take the title. 48 seconds, knocked out, and then she's gone. She doesn't say shit.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, dude. If she was smart, and if she was business savvy, let's put it that way, she'd have done what Buster Douglas did. Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson's ass. Buster Douglas knew that he beat Mike Tyson's ass because Tyson was not ready for that fight. That's the only reason Buster Douglas even fucking won that fight. And he cashed in as much as he could. They made a fucking Sega boxing game, put his name on it. He got paid for that. He did all his endorsements. And then the very next fight got his ass beat. But she's done that to a certain extent. She's been on the cover of UFC games, and she was in the Entourage movie. It's just she obviously started buying her own
Fast and Furious press.
Yeah, she started believing her own press. That's the danger of anybody in sports, because your ego has already been stroked to a ridiculous amount. But a lot of sports people, just like musicians, have these huge egos that are eggshell fragile. And when you're in a sport where it is all or nothing, you are either unconscious and lose, or you tap out, you give up. You can't go in with this huge ego like I'm the shit, no one can take me down, because you're going to get your ego popped. And if there's nothing there besides ego to back it up, then you get sore losers. I mean,
and that's not a problem, except for, like I said, Rhonda Rousey was supposed to be this role model and the standard for all of these blonde hot chicks. Look, you can do something, you can be somebody. And then once she got her ass whipped, and I mean this literally, disappeared off the grid for an entire fucking year. And now it's back to the same thing. She get lost again after this big buildup of her coming back, and now she's gone again. The problem is, the story here is, you can't do that. You got to come out and show a good sport even when you lose. It'd be like Tom Brady coming off his suspension, losing, and then just disappeared. Didn't do any interview, nothing. You can't do that. You got to go and take your hits at the podium after the octagon. That's the story, I think.
No, I agree. And I mean, we've already started the show, so yeah.
I think we pretty much just covered it. So, welcome to episode 30. I'm Chris.
I'm Rich. We had the ICEman. We
had the ICEman. Oh, ICEman.
What?
Oh, and introduce yourself.
ICEman.
There we go. Number 30. Is it Chris Osgood?
Fuck no, Ed Belfour.
Yeah, I figured that was
Chris Osgood, Ed Belfour, a bunch of goalies.
Martin Brodeur.
Hold on. I know I'm forgetting one that we're all going to go. How the fuck did we forget that? Magli Ordonez.
Oh.
There you go. Gave the Detroit Tigers maybe the the best moment of the last 25 years of their existence in 2006 with that home run to send them to the World Series.
Yes. So, which if you ask everyone in Detroit, there we go. Sorry, let's make sure I was unmuted. If you ask everyone in Detroit, they'll tell you they were at that game. People weren't even Tigers fans. Oh, yeah, I was at that game.
Yeah, I know, right?
No, you weren't. Let's go Comerica Park. All of a sudden, at a capacity of 500,000, there's only a few people in the area that were at that game. But
on top of that, it's kind of like this is real Detroit music nerd shit. But it's kind of like the Magic Stick, where it's upstairs and they have the pizza parlor and the bowling alley downstairs, or is it the Magic Bag? No, Magic Bag's in Ferndale.
Yeah, no, it's Magic Stick.
Magic Stick. When Jack White knocked out the lead singer of the Von Bondies, and it seems like every musician who's a wannabe asshole in Detroit I've ever met says he was there that night. And I'm like, that room holds like maybe 150 people tops, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like, I've met at least 500 musicians who swear on their children that they were there, and I'm like, no, you weren't. But okay.
You too. You're in a band in the Detroit area. Everybody knows Kid Rock. Everybody knows Eminem, right?
Yeah. Oh, I can't count how many recording studios I've been in where, we recorded Eminem, and I'm like, really?
No, you didn't, because I read the credits of the album.
Got any pictures of you with them or anything? No? Okay. All right. Well.
Yeah. Unless this is Harmony Park, you didn't record shit.
You know what, though? Eminem's a dick, because him and D12 held a party in Pontiac at Clutch Cargo's when me and a friend of mine were the bouncers there. Eminem didn't want nobody in his quote-unquote VIP area. Like, it's your party with your band. Why can't they come talk to you? It's not like this is a fan-based thing. This is an after-party, and you don't want nobody touching you and talking to you. You got to be shitting me.
Well, the only thing I can defend about Kid Rock is that if you went to Harpo's or a few of the bigger places in Detroit in the, I'm going to say, early to mid-'90s, and you saw a tall, lanky kid handing out flyers, you might have got handed one by Kid Rock. Because that's where I knew Kid Rock from before I ever knew about Devil Without a Cause or the Polyfuse method or any of that. It's just from him flyering all the time for shows. And I think he was still trying to do the hip-hop thing at that point. So.
See, I had, where I grew up, grits sandwiches for breakfast made the rounds in about 6th grade. One person got it, and all of a sudden everybody had it. But yeah, this is a sports show. So
yeah, NASCAR, Ron Skavnicki.
Oh, is that number 30 as well?
Yep, NASCAR.
NASCAR. Well, soon we'll have to talk about NASCAR simply because it'll be one of the only things going on. But right now, I mean, we are recording on it's about 9:30, January 2nd. I mean, it's bowl season, full swing. When I came down to start recording, Penn State was still putting it to USC. 7 touchdowns in a row. I'm sure we'll know the result of that by the time we're done recording. But
there's 12 seconds left, and it's tied 49-49.
Wow. God damn.
And USC is on Penn State's 30, running out the clock, and now they're about to kick a field goal to win it.
Well, better luck next year, Penn State. They got jobbed, didn't they?
You say that, but I'm thinking better luck next year, Mariah Carey. Holy shit.
What do you think?
That is the epic fail on live TV I've ever seen.
More so than
I have not seen it yet.
More so than what's her face? Ashley Simpson.
Oh, way more.
When they started her band playing live music, started playing one song, and then they started playing her vocals for another song, and so she just dropped the mic and started dancing a Irish jig.
Yeah, her stupid little jig.
Oh, way more so, because there was no lyrics whatsoever to Mariah Carey. She just kind of sat there and stared and tried to look sexy as hell.
This moment brought to you by Grey Goose Vodka.
If anyone's going to do it, she can accomplish that.
Well, not just that. Let me break this to you. it's 5 seconds left, and they're looking at it, and they're thinking maybe he can make it, maybe he can't. I don't know. It's going to be like a 45-yard field goal.
Do you think
as long as we don't give a play-by-play, we can't get sued. So
that's true. You think Penn State would have did any better against Clemson?
This whole college bowl season thing, I can't even. I mean, I can't even right now.
Yeah,
there are so many things.
Dumb.
Oh, by the way, it's over. 52-49 USC. He made it.
There you go. Another kicker to draft to the Bucs next year, Rich.
Yeah, they said they're going to give Jason Hansen version 2.0 some competition next year. So they're probably going to take with their 19th pick in the draft this year, in the first round, a kicker. No, they're going to trade up is what they're going to do.
Now, when you talk about college football, okay, I remember when Bo Schembechler was Michigan's coach, and if you made it to the Rose Bowl, man, you did something. You're somebody. You know, Pasadena was like it.
That seemed to like die about the time we were all in high school.
Well,
the Rose Bowl seemed a bigger deal when we were little kids.
That's because they come out with the BCS, the Bowl Championship Series. And it wasn't just based upon coaches poll, AP poll, to decide who was number one in the country. And a large part of that was because in 97, you had split national champions, and it wasn't the first time. So they went to the Bowl Championship Series figuring that would be a way to have definitive champions, and that turned out to be just stupid because it was I've yet to meet the college football fan, casual to hardcore, that can explain to me how that worked, because it involved a computer and this and that, and strength of schedule, weather, blah blah blah. It's just a bunch of nonsense. And it was pretty much always, the two best teams didn't play for the championship, and so they come up with the 4-team playoff. And now is what we're seeing is, when you have 120 college football teams, it's kind of hard to pick the 4 top teams. It'd probably be a lot easier to pick the top 8 teams. But
why not just have, a playoff? I think we talked about it a couple shows ago. Just take the fucking best team out of each division, set up a bracket. Merry Christmas. Like, wouldn't that be all of the best teams playing each other?
Well, as we saw with this playoff season, there are teams that had no business being there. Washington thought they were the shit, and all of a sudden they go up against who'd they play? Alabama, right? They scored 1 touchdown, maybe, yeah. And then Ohio State thought, well, we're good. We'll represent, a big 0 versus Clemson. And that's number 3 versus number 2. But here nor there, it gets worse. You got the Sugar Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, the Rose Bowl, kind of accepted because of the BCS. But then you go to these other things, and you're like AFR Celebration Bowl, the Gildan New Mexico Bowl, Las Vegas Bowl, the Raycom Media Camellia Bowl, Auto Nation Care Bowl, like R plus L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. I'm like, are you kidding me? I got so many lists of bowl games for all these colleges, and I'm just cracking up. You're almost guaranteed a bowl game no matter what you do. I'm surprised Michigan State, with 2 wins, didn't make it to a bowl game.
But are you really surprised in this day and age of every stadium is named after something that it's the same thing with the bowls? I'm not anymore.
And those schools get paid no matter what.
Camping World Independence Bowl. Get the fuck out of here.
Hey, man, money talks, bullshit walks.
Hey, we got Qualcomm Stadium where we used to, or fucking whatever, or, everything's a corporate sponsor now.
Tell me about this. The Military Bowl, was Wake Forest and Temple. There wasn't a military team in the Military Bowl.
Well, maybe Army and Navy got to step it up. I don't know what to tell you. I get what you're saying, but the whole bowl system, the whole playoff system is fucked.
The whole bowl system is just there simply to give teams one last game, one last payday on a neutral site. That's it. you can tilt at the windmill of bowls and say, this is bullshit, but it's been that bullshit for fucking 30 years as far as I remember. I mean, it ain't going nowhere, man. Money talks, bullshit walks. We're pushing around air. That's all we're doing. Ain't none of us cashing, ain't none of us writing checks big enough to change anything. As long as these schools are greedy, and as long as these athletic departments think, oh, well, we can get a couple million to go out here and play. Okay, so you're going to end up playing in the Little Caesars fucking Hot and Ready Bowl. And the military bowl, it ain't got nothing to do with the military except for who's sponsoring the bowl. That's it, man. Just like the what is the trophy that they race for? The Sprint Cup? Really? Because when I was a kid, it was the Winston Cup.
Yeah, but that's promoting cigarettes. You can't have that anymore.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. They obviously don't care about tradition. They care about money. So
you can have the Bud Bowl.
No, come on now. New Era Pinstripe Bowl. Get out. Pittsburgh and Northwestern played that. You got to get out of here with that.
I'm surprised there's not a Michael Jordan Jumpman Bowl.
Right. There's a Hyundai Sun Bowl. A Franklin American Motors Music City Bowl. A Nova Home Loans Arizona Bowl. Buffalo Wild Wings Citrus Bowl. A Tax Slayer Bowl. That is so terrible. Sorry, man.
It's the world we live in, man.
I'm with you. It's what we have now, but I don't remember that growing up. I don't. I remember Pasadena was it. I don't remember all of these stupid-ass bowl games where you play for a season and no matter what your record is, you win, and you get to a bowl game. That is just horrid.
You had the Rose Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, the Orange Bowl. Shit. I'm forgetting.
Yeah, I mean, those were...
Sugar Bowl, Fiesta Bowl.
Fiesta Bowl.
Right, but those games were for, division championships, like conference championships. They meant something to the conference. These games are just games that so-and-so get qualified for somehow.
The Rose Bowl used to be the winner of the Big Ten goes against the winner of... I just forgot the conference that USC is in. But that conference. And
Pac-12.
Is it Pac-12? Okay, yeah.
Yes, right. The former Pac-10.
I mean, that's how it was set up. But now it's all fucked up, man. I don't know. This is why I said, excuse me, why I said after, Michigan tanked against Ohio State, I was like, as far as I'm concerned, unless you're playing for the national championship, it's the end of the season. The bowl is just for bragging rights. I mean, if Michigan would have beat, the Seminoles, it'd have been nice for bragging rights, but really, does it help them? It bumps them up in the final standings maybe a little bit, but they're still not in the national title talks. I mean, it's window dressing, man. But that's, for whatever reason, that's how college football is.
Well, you brought up Michigan. What do you think of that Jabril Pepper situation? You think that was some... I smell bullshit.
I did too. I called that shit in our private talk. He's dressed on the sideline, ready to go in, and then all of a sudden, in the last second, as they start to come on air, he's not going to play.
The only thing I can say is...
He pulled that same shit those other guys we were talking about pulled. The two gentlemen...
If he pulled that with Harbaugh as his coach, I highly doubt Harbaugh wouldn't. He'd outed him. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, Rich, but what if I come to you as the head coach and go, yeah, I hurt my hamstring. My hamstring's hurt.
Yeah, that's nice.
And I go to the trainer. Right, and I go to talk to the trainer, and I act it all up, and I show him how it hurts, and everything about it says that I hurt my hamstring. So now I got me and the trainer going, he's hurt. He can't. He shouldn't. Maybe a day or two rest he could, but he can't.
Dude, we're not talking about some podunk college football program. We're talking about U of M. They have a way to fucking find out whether he's bullshitting or not.
I think that's internal. Personally, I think that's internal. Peppers was no way, no how, even thinking about playing that bowl game.
Okay, well, here's a good... Okay, and if that's the case, he's a bitch. He's a bitch-made motherfucker. What do you want? Send that motherfucker a titty bag and let him suck on that at that NFL draft. What do you want from me? I'll tell you what, Jake Butt's wishing he didn't play his ass in that fucking game.
I don't think that's true. Regardless of what happens
when his draft stock drops and he sees them millions flying away, we'll talk about it then. Because I guarantee you, in the back of his mind, the minute he got hurt was, oh shit, I'm hurt. Oh, and the second thing was, oh shit, how many millions did I just kiss away?
I get you. I'm old school, Rich. I'm going to stay old school.
I'm right there with you, dude. I'm not defending Peppers if that's what he did. If he did that, he's a punk bitch. That shows immaturity on my level. And if I'm running a football program, I'm not wasting a high draft pick on a player like that. Because a player like that is going to put his own concern in his bank account ahead of winning games.
In my opinion, they have wasted draft picks on people like that, i.e. Robert Griffin III. People like that.
Well, Rich, I mean, it even goes down to something base. I mean, like you've hired people before, right? I've hired people. You're taught not to hire people that have a high opinion of themselves because they will not work well with others. And that's kind of like the rabbit you're chasing down here, Rich. And we can probably look to this year too. Will be the tipping point. I bet you after this year, you're going to see a lot more guys skipping their bowl games if it's not for the national championship.
Right, but that will depend on the draft too, though, Chris. Because if these motherfuckers that want to just abandon their team at the bowl game don't get selected in the first or second round, maybe the kids will wise up and be like, "Oh shit."
Well, you know how to solve all
yeah, but
problems?
GMs care about cash. If they put butts in the seats in college, GMs are more than likely going to wager on the fact that they're going to put butts in the seats in the pros.
You know how you solve all this? You take all requirements for any athlete coming out of high school to go to college. You remove them. If you think you can go to the pros, take your ass to the pros. Because I want to see how many of these 18-year-old football playing motherfuckers think that they're going to make the jump from little podunk Friday night lights to Monday Night Football without getting their ass handed to them. Because they're going to have 350-pound, 6'8" men going, "Oh, really? Okay. You ever seen the movie Deliverance? Squeal, bitch." Because that's all you are.
Yeah, getting hit by a pro player and a high school player. Two different animals.
That's why that was the whole reason the NFL saw that college football was huge on its own. Because you got to remember, prior to even the first 10 years of the Super Bowl era, college football was bigger than pro football. But the NFL said, we got a perfect opportunity to use this as the minor leagues, and we don't have to pay these kids. And the weak will weed themselves out. And we have a pool of thousands of kids to draft from. And we don't have to spend any time or money to train them up. These schools will do it for us. And so they said, fuck it, let's do it. I mean, we don't... How many people bitched when the NBA went back to, after LeBron, you have to spend 1 year in college? And now you have athletes, basketball players coming out of high school, do their 1 year at whatever college they're going to. They don't even care about their GPA. I guarantee you 90% of them don't show up at their fucking classes who are one and dones, and they just fucking play their way to a decent pick in the draft and move on. But people were shitting their pants. Why are you stopping these kids from getting their money? Because these kids are coming out and they haven't developed the fundamentals. They come off the playground, they go to high school, they're by miles far and away the best player in high school, and then you put them in the pros where it's the best of the best, and they don't even know how to D up. That was the argument. Well, here's my argument. Who gives a fuck? That's their problem. That's not mine. That's not mine as a fan. So take these little snot-nosed bitches who think they're fucking ready to go to the pros out of high school playing football and put them out there with the men. I want to see it. That's just like women should be able to play pro sports. Please put a bitch out there and play NFL football. I want to see that shit. That's going to be funny. Because there ain't any that can hold their own.
The other side of the coin that could fix this is pay them. That could fix it too.
That would solve a lot of problems, but the NCAA will never do that.
The college athletes.
They do pay them.
How?
They pay for their fucking college. Do you know how expensive that is?
Time out. See, we got to nip this bullshit in the bud. They are on a semester-to-semester scholarship. None of them first of all, none of them get a full ride scholarship for 4 years. If you do not live up to the expectations, you can be cut, okay? So it's like signing a 3-month to 3-month contract to keep working where you're working.
I understand that, Rich, but they got there is such thing as a full ride, brother. I've witnessed it firsthand with our basketball team at Oakland U.
And you lose it, you get hurt. You get hurt, it's done,
exactly, but that's the price you pay. That's the chance you're taking. That's the road you want to go. Yeah, if you get hurt, you're done, Chris, but you ain't limited and sat with all of the student debt that you're supposed to have with college. So let's say in your junior year of college, you tear a hamstring or something, and you got to sit out. They're not going to kick you off the team. They're going to try to bring you back. But even if you don't go back and play, you still aren't, set back with all of the college debt and the student loans and shit that you have to pay back. No, that was all paid for. And further,
but they get a college career interrupted if you get hurt.
That's fine.
I got 2 years of college and I don't get to finish because I got hurt. That's to give them some money. They can at least finish their education. Things like that.
If you're on the team, bro, they keep you and they keep your scholarship until it says there's no chance he's coming back. And
you're talking about if someone gets hurt. I'm talking about if a coach recruits you, gives you a scholarship spot.
Mm-hmm.
You go through one semester, and and that coach goes, I don't like the way you're playing on the team. I'm revoking your scholarship.
You're right.
See ya.
You're absolutely right.
That's not getting paid. But
for people that put in the work, go to the workouts, train, go to the practices, learn, put their heart and soul and actually try, they get the full ride. Because not only do they get their college paid for, bro, they get housing allowance, food allowance. It's more than just college paid for. It's college experience paid for.
Do you understand that when we talk about food allowances, there are major college sport programs where they have guys who make you look like a goddamn midget, who they give them $12 a day to fucking survive on for food.
$12, huh?
Now, even if you eat 12 fucking packets of ramen noodles, that ain't gonna fill up a motherfucker who's 300 pounds, 6'2", 6'8". That ain't gonna do it.
I fully agree with you, Rich.
Okay, fully. What I'm saying is, if you want this bullshit to stop, then you either give true full ride scholarships. If you're going to say, well, they get an education, well, then once you get that scholarship, it can't be revoked, which means even if they don't play for you, they can still go to that college and their tuition is covered. Not necessarily their books, not necessarily everything else, because there's always those little caveats that they throw in there, because they're going to get you one way or the other. Colleges are going to get paid, especially private colleges. That's all there is to it. They're not going to give you anything for free. They're either going to make money off of your fucking jersey, or they're going to make money off of you paying for the shit that's not covered by your fucking scholarship. Now, either pay the players or give them full ride scholarships. True full ride scholarships. And until that happens, the NCAA has no higher ground on this issue than the players who are going, you know what? No, we're going to sue because you're putting out video games with our likeness in it.
Yeah, these guys,
and we're not making anything off that. We can't even sell our fucking.
The NCAA makes money off of these guys' backs, and they don't see a dime of it.
The whole thing with Johnny Manziel is he got in trouble because he sold a couple autographs. Really? You can't fucking sit and do and sign 8x10s at like a card show because you haven't been drafted yet? That's ridiculous. You own your own. You own your own body. You own your own identity. Okay, and for a group to come in, the NCAA, and say you can't profit off of your own fucking being is ridiculous when they're profiting off of it. So either share the profits or stop the profits. That's how come we don't have any more college football video games. Because the NCAA knew if they gave 1 penny to the players, eventually they'd have to start giving $1 to a player, and then it'd be $100, and then it'd be $1,000, and they'd snowball, and that's less money out of their pocket. They took less of a hit to end NCAA football through EA Sports than they did to actually pay players for their likeness. That's ridiculous, dude. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue, too, that one home game pays for all the scholarships. Right? So you have 5 left, depending on your schedule. I mean, whether it's basketball, football, I mean, the universities make so much money off of these guys' backs. And their schedules are so, I mean, yeah, they give them a little bit of wham, some walking around money, because they can't have a job. That's the other thing, too. I mean, you play for some of these teams, and you're kind of like an indentured servant, so to speak.
I completely agree with you guys there. Oh, I do. Like I said, my college suite mate, he stayed the room next to me in the same suite, was a basketball player, and I was dumbfounded how he was treated and the things he had to do. You're right. He can't have a job. He has to go to every meeting, every talk, every walkthrough, every practice, every game, and then try to maintain his classes. And if he wants to get an education, and worry about his GPA and shit, I was like, no.
Well, if you think about it, at least when I went, okay, a full semester load was about between 14 and 16 credit hours. All right. So you figure how many times you got to be in class, or how much time you have to be in class, how much lab time you have to do depending on the class. Then plus you have to add on to that how many hours of practice, which is damn near every day. Travel for games. I mean, they expect these kids to do all that and go, oh, well, thank you for the opportunity. We appreciate it. And yeah, that's cool. But when you got kids that are going, hey, man, can I borrow $5 so we can fucking order a pizza, who are, stars on campus, and meanwhile their jersey selling for $200 at the school bookstore with their number and name on it?
Yeah, their meals may be covered, but what if they get hungry past, 7 p.m.?
When the cafeteria closes.
You're not allowed to eat past 7 p.m. if you're on scholarship, for an athletic scholarship. That's just, I'm not saying give these guys like NFL salaries, but I'm just saying you make so much money off of these kids' backs. Toss them something.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying they
because half of these guys are trashing their bodies and they'll never play past college.
And on top of it, if you did that, it would not remove boosters paying college athletes, but it would definitely slow it down. I mean, because what's the attraction then? What's the attraction to take money that you could ruin your career over? You could have to vacate championships over down the line if you're getting X amount of money from the school and you don't need to take that money. If they take that money, then it's just out of pure greed. That's where I have a hard time. Like, we look at these college kids, and, I mean, as much as I hate Ohio State, them guys selling tickets that they're not going to use, and that coming back, and it's an NCAA violation, and, Ohio State has to have sanctions put on him for it. That's ridiculous, man. What the fuck? What if he's an only child and he comes from a home where he doesn't, he only has his mother. So what's he going to do with fucking 5 sets of tickets? If he gives them to all his fucking family, okay, and close friends, and he's got 4 extra and he fucking sells them, who gives a shit? But NCAA can't have that.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the way of the world, though, Rich. It really is. Everybody is greedy, and everybody thinks they're right. Their way's the right way. You know what I'm saying? So if you try to do something like those kids did and make just a little bit of, scratch to feed yourself, to, get a good pair of kicks, man, a big, pair of shoes or whatever, just to make ends meet or whatever. Order that pizza that Chris wants. Oh, no, that goes against what I said, and I'm right. So here's the sanctions. And like you said about the bowl games, you're not going to stop that. I don't care if you pay the kids or not. You're not going to stop it because people aren't going to admit when they're wrong. Not in today's world. They will go to great lengths to make sure that they stay right. It pisses me.
Meet girls in college. NCAA going to pay for those dates? The scholarship paying for those dates. You take somebody out. Maybe you just want to go out with your friends because in college, guess what? That happens a lot. I don't think it's unreasonable to, NCAA, who do you think mints their own money more, the NCAA or the NFL?
Well, just so you guys know, they get more than the $12 that, Rich, but they get more money from the school. So, they're not completely hurt.
I didn't say that was all schools. I made a point of saying I'm trying to remember. I just watched this documentary like 2 months ago. It literally, what school was it? Might have been Texas A&M. I can't remember.
Right, but what I'm saying
that was their per diem for food per day.
Right, but college kids, even the college athletes, that's not all the money they get. They also get different scholarships from different places, just like a normal college student does. Pell grants, federal grants, things they don't have to pay back. So, there's extra money after you pay for a semester in college with your, full ride or your scholarship, even for the semester or whatever. After all that kicks in, and I didn't know this until I went to college, and then at the end of the semester, I get a refund check, and it was for like $3,400 fucking dollars. And me and Sarah at the time, it was very first semester of college, was like, what is this for? And I went to the financial aid office. They said that's all that extra financial aid that you didn't use paying for your, semester in college. And I was like, holy shit, because we were just freaking out. Christmas was coming. We didn't have money for rent. We didn't have money for gifts for people. And now I'm holding $3,400 at the end of the semester going, it's party at Earl's house.
And this is what I don't understand. Most of the people who I've met personally, so anecdotal evidence right there up front, not even going to argue the point that it's not, who say don't pay these college students, are the most unabashed capitalist I've ever met. But all of a sudden, when it comes to college students getting paid, indentured servitude sounds like a better idea than just pure fucking capitalism. They're against these kids getting paid, and I don't get it.
I so don't get it. Because they're putting their body on the line just like an NFL player. Maybe even more so because they're trying to get to that level. So if they fracture their leg, if they get a concussion, if they break a clavicle or something, that's their body that they have to live with the rest of their life.
Now here's something that I don't know if they can do, but if they can't, they should be able to do it. And this is, once again, I don't know if they can do it or not. If you are projected to be a high draft pick, and you are in college, I feel you should be able to insure your body if you have a traumatic injury that keeps you out or drops you in the draft. You should be able to insure against that without being sanctioned or it being against NCAA regulations, because that only makes sense. You can if you talk to people who go to music schools that are the elite of the elite, they insure things like their fucking hands, because if they can't play, that's their career. They're done. They're over with. Their entire life has been dedicated to music. Now, it's a different type of dedication, but it's definitely more physical and taxing on your entire body to dedicate your entire life to a sport. I highly doubt there's people in the pros who are just maybe 1 out of a million who've ever walked in to a pro football, baseball, hockey, basketball, doesn't matter, who just got there with the bare minimum of effort and the bare minimum of training and working out. It doesn't happen. And there's so many things that could go wrong. You can hurt yourself in the weight room. You can hurt yourself. You can hurt yourself doing tackle drills. You never know. And to me, it's just there's too many variables there. And just to say, well, we're going to have literally, 5 digits worth of college football players fighting over 2,500 spots in the pros, and the week will just weed themselves out. Oh, well.
I was thinking about it as we were talking about it, Rich. Do you know the other reason they won't pay the college kids? What incentive, then, is it for them to go to the NFL? You would really have to love being hit every Sunday or Thursday or Monday or whatever it is to go to that and be that. Because right now these kids are playing to get to the NFL, to get that major guaranteed money.
Are we talking about paying a kid $20,000 a year if he plays every game of college football versus how much you're going to make as a pro? That's plenty of incentive.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about fucking 100,000. I'm talking about Just give the kids. Look, look, do it like the NFL does it with jersey sales. Players who their jersey gets sold get a percentage of that jersey because it's got their name on it. If you want to do it that way, do it that way, or make it a flat rate for everybody on the team. But then you're going to have the star players bitching that how come, the guy third on the depth chart for fucking long snapper is getting the same amount of money as me, and I go across the middle and I take hits and all this shit. But there's ways to work around it. It's just
why is football players getting paid more than basketball players? Yeah, there's way a lot of issues.
And then you're gonna not even to open this can of worms, but you got Title IX. And Title IX states that anything that happens with male sports in college has to happen with female sports, and that's just a whole other can of worms. There's ways around this. The difference is the NCAA has no incentive to sit down at the bargaining table because they hold all the cards right now. They've got everything they fucking want. They got it how they want, and all they have to do is put up with maybe a couple fucking documentaries and a couple news stories every year that come out and point out how much bullshit it is. And most people don't give a fuck because they just want to root for their fucking team on Saturday afternoon.
Right, and especially with how we started this talk with all the bowl games that have come up. Because, like I said, old school, I remember Pasadena being it. There were a couple bowl games here or there, but that was to just celebrate the division championships and the conference championships. There's bowl games that I'm reading about that I'm like, for what? And you guys are right. It's for the money. Okay, I get it. But if it's for the money and these kids are putting, and it almost makes me change my mind about the kids sitting out at the bowl games because he's not getting paid to go out there and get hurt. But at the same time, I have to stick to my roots, which says if it wasn't for those people, you wouldn't be as high of a draft pick as you are. So there's no frickin' way, me personally, just me, I would turn my back on my team on the final game, whether it was for a national championship or one of these bullshit bowls that have popped up.
And I think I said this when we first talked about the players sitting out bowl games. I can understand it, but I don't condone it. From simply a pragmatic point of view, I get it. They're playing for that big contract money,
right?
From a team standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, from an honoring your word standpoint, you're a bitch. But you know what? Here's the bottom line. In our society as it's set up right now, he's going to be a well-paid bitch.
You're right. And good on. Have fun with it.
Exactly. There's not much we can do about that.
But I personally, if I saw somebody that sat out a bowl game that's now making millions in the pros and I met him at a fucking restaurant, I wouldn't even shake his hand.
You ain't even worth a food stamp, motherfucker.
That's it. I wouldn't even, I'd be like, I would actually point and introduce Tina to him. That's the bitch that sat out his bowl game so he can make millions in the pros. What's he going to do, hit me? That's right, give me the millions you made in the pros.
That's why I said.
On my neck. On my back and my neck.
That's why I said, man, if I'm sitting there and the draft is up and there's a player who's done that, he's going to have to be really vetted pre-draft and really give me a goddamn good explanation for why he did it. And it's going to have to be so good I can't even think of it right now. Besides, I just want to make sure I got paid.
Yeah, there's no reason I can think of that you just voluntarily go, yeah, I'm not playing. It means nothing. So, I'm going to sit out.
Protecting your future, man.
Well, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's the only reason that you could give, and that reason is not good enough for me. You're trying to protect your future that those 10 other people that are on that field today made for you. They made it for you. And now you're going to turn your back on them because, quote, the bowl game's not for the championship? It means nothing? Fuck you. If it wasn't for them, you wouldn't even think about NFL draft.
But why risk it? I mean, if it's not for, if it's not for anything important, you just talked about how all these games are pointless. What's a pointless bowl game if you're like talking about
the bowl game in of itself? All I'm saying is there's 11 people on the field. These bowl games that have popped up, like I've been reading about this year, are pointless. All 11 people shouldn't be there. both teams shouldn't be there. These bowl games shouldn't exist, but they do for the money. I get it. That being said, if my team's going to the bowl game, I'm going to the bowl game. This is personal. This is just me. I understand the money argument. You know, a great example is the U of M. Pepper set out, but played, but got hurt. Peppers is okay. It was a minor tweak of a hamstring. Peppers is going to go high in the draft and get paid, but probably won't go to the 4th or 5th round if he can play anymore at all. I get the money. I get it. But I'm saying I get the money. I get it.
You telling me he injured himself in those 4 weeks off?
No. I get it. To me personally, that's not even a question because you aren't getting paid that money without those 10 other men that have been with you the entire fucking season that are now out there playing for their pride, their school, without you. No, absolutely not. And you're perfectly healthy? No.
You could argue maybe they're like, hey, guy, back me up all year. Go in, play the bowl game. Have your moment in the sun. You ain't playing football past today.
Sorry, Bubba. Not doing it. Like I said, it's personal. Just me.
But you know what? The GMs aren't going to give a fuck. Like, the GMs care about people who buy tickets.
I'm with you.
If you sell tickets in college, they're hoping you're going to sell tickets in the pros. They don't give a damn. You know, they're not giving a damn you set out your bowl game. You know, like Uncle Jerry might take you in his office and be like, hey, now we can't have you acting like that in the pros. But you don't think those guys are still going to get drafted, man?
Oh, I get it. Like I said, just me personally, I get your argument. Totally. It makes sense. And in today's society, like Richard said, it's 100% right to do. Sit out, save your body, get ready to get your big draft and guaranteed millions. Good on you. But to me personally, that shows character. And it's just me saying this. I would not sit out. Whether I was guaranteed millions in the pros, whether I just was going to finish college and go do whatever I went to college for, there's no way in hell that I would turn my back on 10 men that have made me who I'm supposed to be now. No fucking way. That's just character. That's the character of a person. And my character is to the end.
I agree with you there. I don't know. I guess I just don't agree with everyone acting like these guys are like the most horrible kind of people. To me, dude, business decision. It's
the same thing as Tom Brady right now is in the playoffs for the NFL. And him looking at his team going, you know what, guys? I'm sitting out this playoffs. You know, if you win, great. If you go to the Super Bowl, awesome. I got to sit out because I'm going to retire after this year, and I don't want to take an injury to my head and not remember my Hall of Fame induction. So I appreciate everything you've done for me. Go ahead.
No, it's not because he gets paid. The college guys don't get paid. Like,
doesn't
that's
matter.
the thing. It does. You didn't make dick for 4 years, and you got like $10 million.
Okay, but now
for you at the end of it.
Filthy, 100% ain't ever going to be broke rich. Okay? And he's got all this millions and his Super Bowl rings and everything. He's ready to go to the Hall of Fame. He doesn't want to risk taking a concussion and not remembering his induction. Go play. I'm done. I'm good. So you're just going to turn your back on all of them people that got you to the Super Bowl or got you to the playoffs?
He's allowed to. In theory, he could.
Oh, you're right.
Not against the law. It's not illegal.
You're right, 100%. But to me,
he wants to,
and I just
live to be at his children's weddings because he's been getting hit in the head for the last 3 decades. I wouldn't hold that against him.
I would. No, your team's out there. You're out there. If you're physically able to be there, you're there.
But you talk about all right. More devil's advocate here. You talk about all this loyalty to a team. Team ain't so loyal to you if you stop producing, from the GM to the coach to the rest of the players. You stop producing, that loyalty sure as shit goes out the window.
Yeah, but you're talking about upper management, bro.
I'm talking upper management. I'm talking about coaches. I'm talking Tom Brady starts throwing a pick every other pass. You watch how fast that team fucking doesn't support him.
No, I'm with you. But you've changed as Rich says, you moved the goalpost.
Have I? Because you're talking about it's all about the team, right? The team don't give a fuck about you if you stop producing. Where's all this high and mighty, self-righteous It's the team, and you stop producing for the team, watch how fast they turn their back on you.
At that level, something had to go significantly wrong for you to stop producing. Like, you just had to stop caring. You had to stop practicing.
But it won't change the fact that the team's loyal. It won't change the fact that the team will turn on you. The circumstances of you stopping producing are irregardless. The fact that when you stop producing, whether you're Tom Brady or one of these guys that's in there playing their bowl game, the team don't give a fuck about you. You're only as good as your results when you're on a team.
Yeah. Two different opinions, Chris. That's all I'm saying, man. If a guy at Tom Brady's level stops producing, it's because he wants to. It's because he stopped going to practices. He stopped going to the films. He stopped listening to everything the coach was trying to tell him.
I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking. You're talking about all this. You should have all this loyalty to your team. I'm saying, if you stop producing, that loyalty doesn't come back the other way. That's my point, I guess.
Not true in high school and college. Not true. That loyalty is completely there.
Really? Ask Rich Rod. ask him how that went.
Are you talking about? Are you talking about? Okay, hold on though, because I think maybe we're talking. You guys are talking about two different things. There's a difference between
right.
Okay, there's a difference between someone going, I'm not going to play because I don't want to risk X, but I still have the ability to play, versus someone who, for whatever reason, they've reached their peak ability and they're now on the downside of their career, and they're just not as good as they were anymore.
Drew Brees.
Okay. Teams, I mean, it's the nature of the beast of sports. Okay. Teams aren't going to stay loyal to you till you're in the ground and dead. I mean, that's just all there is to it. It's not, because you did something for us in your late 20s, early 30s, we're going to make sure that you're out there playing, you're our quarterback into your fucking 70s. I mean, there's a point where it's like, look, you no longer have it. You have to either move on to someone who's willing to take a chance on you, or retire. That's different than going, I'm not doing this, even though I'm more than capable of doing this. I'm not doing it because I don't want to get hurt, or I don't want X to happen.
Right.
To me, I have a harder time respecting that, and that's where I understand where you're coming from. And at the same time, I understand where Chris is coming from, because these teams, ultimately, their goal is to win. And if they feel they got a better chance to win with someone besides you just said his name, Romo, they will move on.
Right, but how loyal did they stay to him before they moved on, though? Honestly, be honest.
If it was anybody but Romo and Jerry Jones, I don't think there would have been that much fucking controversy about Romo, period.
Right, but don't talk just about this year with Dak. How loyal has the Cowboys been to Romo through all of his injuries and all of the problems and all of the missed throws and interceptions and loss in the playoffs and everything else?
You're absolutely right. You can look at other sports. Guys like how loyal the Giants were to Barry Bonds. Now, you could argue that Barry Bonds was putting asses in the seats, so that's how come they were loyal to him. But they didn't have to put up with his bullshit. They could have cut bait and ran. If you want to look at it, there's a ton of guys in hockey, Bob Probert being the one that sticks out to my mind.
Vernon.
How many guys how many chances did they give Bob Probert, and he just kept fucking up to the point where they finally said, look, we can't take any more chances for you. We literally kept your ass out of federal prison. We literally got you, we created new laws and precedents in court to get you to play, and you keep fucking up. We're sorry, we can't do it anymore.
Right, and Five-Hole Vernon, how long did they stay with him as their top goaltender? Had Osgood waiting, ready.
No, but we're talking about but we're getting into the pros. I mean, this talks about college. Let's talk about Jabril Peppers. All right, you talk about these guys, their teams, and they should play their bowl games and all that stuff. If Peppers blows out his knee in week 1, how loyal do you think that Michigan program would have been to that guy?
I have no idea.
They'd have had him dressed in all Michigan Nike Michigan gear on the sidelines on crutches for every game, and then they'd have said, "Have a nice time in the draft" when the year was over with. That's how loyal they'd have been to him. I honestly believe that. Harbaugh just strikes me as that type of guy. He's a star player. He wasn't going to fucking cut bait with him and call it a day. Now, if it had been the third string fucking running back who was a sophomore red shirt, different story.
I've pretty much said this the entire way through this. My final statement, Chris, is period. As a character of a man, I would never, I don't care what level I was playing at, high school, college, NFL, I would never turn my back on the team. Fuck the general manager or the coaches or the school, or whatever, on the team that got me to the status I was going to be, that people looked at me as. Because these people are nothing without the other 10 men. Whoever those other 10 men are, change them out. But they are nothing. The Heisman Trophy, all of this shit. Those kids, those players are nothing without the other 10 men or 4 men in basketball or hockey or whatever sport you want to look at. They're nothing without those other teammates.
True, but you don't get drafted 11 players at a time. And I'm sure these gentlemen will argue character ain't moving me out of my mom's house. Okay,
and that's how you think. That's not how I think. I can't turn my back on people that have put me in the position I'm in. And I won't ever. In any facet, be it at any job, there's no way I would turn my back on my team. No, not going to happen. Just personal.
I get it, man. I understand, but I just...
For instance, right now...
I think these guys are being painted as giant shitheads, and I don't think they're that big of shitheads. I just think they're looking out for their future.
Let's bring it home. Let's bring it right here to this podcast. If somebody listens to this podcast and loves how Rich analyzes hockey, loves it enough to say, Rich, we're going to pay you this much money, we're going to do this. If Rich turned his back on me and you and said, bye, guys, I would look at Rich a whole different way than I look at him right now. I would understand it. I would understand it.
He's got an opportunity. Go ahead, homie. Right. I mean, that's I guess how we're wired different.
Exactly. And I just like you, I would understand it. He has an opportunity. He got called up. I get it. But that's kind of fucked up because he didn't do this whole podcast by himself.
Why?
Hold on.
But they didn't call us. They called him.
And I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, this is how I would handle a situation like that. Can I still do this podcast? And depending on if their answer is, yeah, we don't give a shit. Okay, well, as long as it doesn't affect the podcast, what's it fucking matter? But if they say no, then there's a point where I have to sit down and talk to you guys. What's going on? How do we feel about this?
We both would wish you the best of luck. It would just, and that's.
Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see?
Well, I guess that leads to something that maybe hasn't been reported on.
Chris, this is what I'm saying. I don't know if he went to the players and his coach, and the players and the coach gave him their blessing. That's a little bit different in my book.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't think that's been reported on. We don't know if these guys did that. All the news stories have just been these guys are sitting out their bowl games. They don't. I mean, Peppers could have went to Harbaugh and been like, "Hey, man, you saw what kind of season I had." He could have been. Yeah, he could have been like, "Jim, you saw what kind of season I had. This doesn't mean anything. Can I sit out?" I mean, if they approached the team, so what? If they went to the team and the team's cool with it, rock and roll, brother.
And what I'm getting at with that is this is what I said in the chat, the group chat, and this is what I've said, I believe, earlier in the podcast, and I'm just going to reiterate it. I don't believe Harbaugh's the type of guy that would rubber stamp a player last minute sitting out without saying something about it. Because if he's not coming back for sure, there's nothing that he can do to hurt Harbaugh. The only thing Harbaugh has to worry about is this going to hurt me in recruiting down the road? If I speak out against this player who, without coming to me, without coming to his teammates, made a decision on his own, went rogue, and said, I'm not playing in this game. And he was perfectly capable of playing in it. That's the only thing I have to hang my hat on, that I think there's something a little bit more legit to him sitting it out as far as being hurt. And that's all I have to hang my hat on, is that. Harbaugh just doesn't strike me as that type of coach. That man is crazy. I mean, seriously. That man is something, just screws loose. Love him as a coach. I'm glad he's U of M's football coach. I would not want to know the man personally because he is fucking nuttier than squirrel shit. So that's just how it sits with me. I don't know. I'm just playing it I'm just saying how it feels. But beyond that, other players want to sit out. They've talked to their coach, whatever. Yeah, Chris is right. Maybe we're not getting the full story. Now, granted, I find that hard to believe in a 24-hour news cycle we have these days. But, I mean, things like that do happen, Hey, it's not for a national championship. We're not in the playoffs. This is basically for bragging rights. Maybe some of these coaches were like, and other teammates were like, you know what? Go, to quote Cat Williams, get your money, boo-boo. I don't know.
Well, too, it's in the current media climate we're in, too, you could argue that maybe just the full story wasn't reported. Maybe these guys aren't playing their bowl games is a lot sexier than these guys sat down their team and their coach and asked if they could not play in their bowl game. You know what I'm saying? More people will click on so-and-so sitting out bowl game. More people will click on that.
Again, personally, I don't care if they sat down with their moms and the moms of every player on the team. You don't turn your back on the people that got you there. That's me, personally. No, if I got called about this podcast and said, yeah, we want you, and I'd be like, all right, there's 3 of us, so you want all 3 of us. No, we just want you. All right, I got to have these 2 with me. They are the reason I'm here. So, you get me? I would not turn my back on you 2. There's no fucking way.
I mean, I got you, dude, and honestly...
I'm not wired to do that, and I'm hurt.
We've veered off into, if we all had 10-inch fucking cocks with 16 inches of girth, we would never have met each other because we'd be filming porn right now. So we're well into fairy tale land. So, I mean, I think this fucking, this ain't even a dead horse. This is dust and bones at this point. So do we want to actually talk about the fucking bowl games?
Yeah.
Not how stupid they are and who sat them out?
We could do that. The best bowl game, bar none, and it's not because I'm a homer, because it's not. Went to MSU. Anyways, was U of M and Florida State. That was a fucking bowl game. Every other bowl game I've seen is just nothing. A whole lot of it.
And apparently Wisconsin is the only team in the Big Ten that can do anything in their bowl game. But
playing the Western Michigan. Yeah,
Western, yeah. But Ohio State lost. Michigan
They didn't even score a point, man. Not even a point. Ohio State or not Ohio State, it does. I thought for sure Meyer had something. I had never seen a team he's coached play like they played.
So I guess the question is Clemson that good, or did Ohio State biff it that bad?
I think they're that good, honestly. I think this national championship is going to be a hell of a game because Nick Saban is that good. Fuck Alabama and the players. Nick Saban is that good. And Clemson, they're hungry, man. They look mean. They look like, I don't care what the papers say, I'm going to come out here and hit somebody, and at the end of the day, I'm going to, be a winner.
I think this was a brutal reminder that it goes SEC, ACC, and if you're really a homer, you can maybe throw the Big Ten in at third as far as the Power 5 conferences. But that's being a homer beyond my ability to be. This was teams who they threw in who had to be there because of their ranking. But if they'd have played the schedules that Clemson or Alabama had played, they wouldn't have been there.
Even been that high.
Yeah, they wouldn't have been there.
They'd have been up in these other made-up bowls.
Yeah, I mean, that was my first thought with the Michigan game is like, oh, you played an ACC team. This is what happens. Like, I think this bowl season was a kind of a gut check for the Big Ten that they're not as good as they think they are. Because what did we hear all year? All year? The Big Ten is back. The Big Ten's a power conference once again.
But hang on. Now, FSU is a beast. Has been a beast for fuck all years. Many years. Okay? And Michigan hung with them till the very end. FSU had to pull a what the fuckins out of their ass at the end of that game to win. And I mean that
show up in the second half to also make it competitive.
I mean, it was at the end of that game. I was like, even his own teammate told him to stay in the end zone, and then he runs it out all the way to the results.
Every Big Ten team lost except Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Every Big Ten team lost their bowl game. So I just think They're not as good as they think they are. Like, this isn't 50 years ago. The ACC and the SEC are pretty much the minor league of the NFL at this point.
And what I'm saying is, if Michigan and Ohio State and you thought MSU had a bad season this year, if they had to play a schedule full of ACC or SEC teams, they wouldn't even have been in the talk.
Yep.
They'd have been in the middle to the bottom of the pack of those conferences. And this is just the reality of college football. I mean, I actually had a friend say to me, he goes, we up here in the north, we hang our hat, especially Michigan fans hang their hat on tradition and, the winningest college football program as far as win percentage and just raw wins and, this and that. But when you really get south of the Mason-Dixon border, them motherfuckers eat, sleep, shit, fuck, party with, marry, have affairs with, and breed football. That was no bullshit in that. In when you watched University, when you watched the U documentary, and they said from Tampa to Daytona Beach on down, we declared the state of Miami. That was no bullshit, man.
And those guys down tradition. There are hungry. They care about winning.
You goddamn right they do.
Case in point, LSU. Fucking Les Miles had a winning goddamn record. Then he got let go.
I'm telling you, he lost, 10 in 5 years?
Yeah,
it was sick.
Ridiculous. Yeah, Michigan would kill for a coach with that kind of record. And LSU fired his ass. Just win, baby. And fucking Al Davis should have been in the college. Should have been in the NCAA. Because that's pretty much a philosophy, at least down south, when you get into these SEC teams, for sure. I think Saban's been at Alabama for a decade, because all he does is win. And they're not going to fucking get rid of him until he stops winning.
That's not going to happen.
If you just want to look at it from a raw, the materials that make football players, look at the players from the Deep South who traditionally end up not the Deep South necessarily, but just the South, who end up going to these programs to where there's pipelines for as far as recruiting into these states. These are hot, humid weather states, and these fuckers, their endurance is on another fucking level. People talk about you take a team from the South and you put them in the North and you ask them to play. Case in point, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Before their Super Bowl run that year, they never won a game in below 40 weather. Blah blah blah. This and that. Take a team from the North and stick them down there in late Florida summertime during Indian summer and tell me that they're going to be able to fucking keep up with guys who are used to that type of heat and humidity. When it's 120 degrees on the field.
Well, that's like you go to Denver, get out of your car, dude. You can't breathe.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. These guys are conditioned on a different level. And most of these bowl games, where are they played? They're not played up here. And if they are, they're in domes. Spartan Stadium, the Big House, they don't have bowl games there, right? Lucas Oil Field and Ford Field is where up here where they play bowl games. I mean, there's a reason for that shit, So these are just hardier, better conditioned to these types of, the type of conditions they're going to be exposed to players. And these are also areas where football is everything. You have generations in Florida who, until recently, there was no hockey, there was no baseball except for spring training. And basketball was pretty much an afterthought. I mean, so football was all there was. This shit is year round. So I mean, it's a different mindset these players have. And like I said, the SEC, the ACC to a lesser extent, they all have pipelines recruiting into these states. And if you go to Florida, you root for one of three teams: either the Hurricanes, the Seminoles, or the Gators. That's it. You very rarely, unless it's a transplant.
End of list.
Very rarely, unless it's a transplant from another state, do you see any other college football fan rooting for any other teams besides those three. And believe me, they're just as rabid as we are up here, if not more so. I've seen it. I witnessed it. I used to live down there. I've seen grown men who grew up together get into fist fights during a rivalry game on a Saturday. Just saying. So, yeah, the Big Ten, that's how come, look, up here in the Big Ten, when we play each other, we talk shit. That's how come I was like, Ohio State, for a long time now, has been on a level above the Big Ten. And Ohio State's come back down to earth for whatever reason. Well, it's
and you say that, but I still can't excuse what happened to them. I don't care if it was Clemson, Alabama. I don't care who it was. I watched the game and I'm like, are they going to move the football?
Yeah, they
got embarrassed. They
really did. I mean, they really did, man.
That was one of those things. I don't subscribe to the theory that if Michigan is out of, like, if they're not in bowl contention, they're not playing a bowl game, that I root for the Big Ten. I'm a Michigan fan. I don't fuck the Big Ten. Okay? Why would I root for the people that I hate the rest of the year just because they're in the same division as me? Well, because don't you want our division to do good? No, I don't care about the rest of the division. I care about Michigan.
Yeah, I don't root for the Central Division in baseball. I don't root for the NFC North in football. I don't root for the Central Division basketball. No, I root for my goddamn team.
And when I see a game like that, I'm like, oh man, really? Like, I gotta imagine it's how a black person feels. My team's in that same
conference. Come on, man.
I gotta imagine that's how a black person feels when another black person fucks up so bad, and they're just like, God damn it! I know it has nothing to do with me, but I'm gonna hear about this at work. You know,
Steve Harvey.
No, man. It's like when I walk into a party store and I can smell the guy behind the counter from the door, and he's got 8 layers of gold on. I'm like, come on, man, come on. Yeah, I know the feeling.
For me, it would be my family from down south. So when I see swamp people on TV, I'm just like, oh God, that's what everyone thinks my family's like. And the bitch of it is, some of them are. So,
yeah, I mean, and not just being a homer. The game of U of M and FSU was a phenomenal played game. Phenomenal.
No, except for my cable freezing up, or my PlayStation View freezing up, and me not catching the end of it. You telling me what happened, and then seeing the replays. Second after halftime and on, I was like, okay, this is a game I can get into. Before that, I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, dude. Really? This shit's gonna drive me to drink. Because I didn't think it was gonna be. If you asked me to put money on it, I couldn't have said it was gonna be that close before halftime. Looked like 2 separate teams out there, man.
Well, but that's how Harbaugh does, you know. He makes his determination of what has to be changed. He makes his changes, and it goes. But that being said, though, before the game, during the game, halftime, after the game, I don't know where Ohio State was, because that wasn't the team I seen play all season.
Still in Ohio.
Oh,
my goodness. They still They sent the practice squad.
Are we sure that wasn't the Cleveland Browns dressed up?
We're not sure of anything anymore, man. Even Washington scored a touchdown. Come on.
It was just to not score anything in a nationally televised bowl game, and you're the Ohio State University.
Right.
Oh, boy.
And you're dominating. You beat the big U of M. You beat the Block M. You're the shit. It really reminded me of Rhonda Rousey. It really did. 48 seconds. Pow. Right in the kisser. What happened?
But, too, as a Michigan fan, you look at that and you'd be like, geez. I mean, if Ohio State put up nothing on Clemson, you think Michigan would have done any better?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to say is when they faced FSU, they put it back to Rhonda Rousey. They at least went blow for fucking blow. They didn't
only
get
second half, but sure.
Down.
That first half was awful. Please say the first half was awful, because it was. The first half was awful, man.
It was.
Like, as a Michigan observer, I was even like, ooh, geez, come on. You going to play today, or are you just going to be like, or are you just going to let the SEC live up to their fucking reputation? Because that first half was
for two of their best players weren't in the game.
Hey, but
your Heisman Trophy not in the game. Your star tight end knocked out of the game, and they still went blow for fucking blow. Ohio State looked like they entered the octagon, turned around, dropped Jordan, and took it up the poop shoot. They just were like, I see how this is going to be.
So Michigan went blow for blow with a broke down ass FSU. I mean, I guess maybe you're glad they weren't at full strength. I mean, think about that.
Yeah. A lot of coulda, shoulda, wouldas, but it was what it was. At least was an entertaining game. At least I could eat some popcorn to it.
Well, they could argue as Michigan fans that Ohio State game should have been super entertaining to you guys. You're watching the Buckeyes get the shit beat out of them.
But I question why.
I know Michigan fans would be cooking up popcorn and eating it and enjoying every second of that.
I'm with you. Enemy of an enemy is my friend. I get it. But at the same time, they beat our ass. Ohio State beat us. So what happened? Because now you can't even move the ball. It's not that you just couldn't score. You couldn't move the fucking ball.
Maybe this exposes the ranking system a little bit. Can we put that in play?
You might want to say that because number 6 Michigan got beat by number 11 FSU. And number 6 Michigan was as high as, 3, 2?
I was referring more to Ohio State, but sure, we can talk about the ranking system of Michigan, too.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're going to talk about it, it's not even about being a homer. It's about being truthful. Michigan was as high as 3 or 2 in this ranking system, and they got beat by a number 11, nobody that was ever ranked in the top 10, FSU.
But you could also argue that Michigan was never, if you look at this year's college football teams, Michigan was never the second or third best team in the country. At no point during the season were they ever that caliber. I'll give them top 5.
Yeah, top 5.
But the way Clemson and Alabama have been playing, I mean, there's no way. And even Ohio State until they just fucking, and Penn State. Penn State came on late. There's no way Michigan was ever the second or third best team in the nation this year.
Right, I agree. No, the ranking system is fucked, and I know I've said it on this show before. And I agree with that 100%. They especially preseason rankings and blah blah blah. It's just.
I guarantee you next season Michigan will be ranked top 3 in the preseason rankings because of how they did this year and because of that block M. I guarantee you they'll be ranked in the top 3. Preseason rankings.
I'll give you top 10. I'll give you top 10.
Top 10, not top 3. I don't even think they make top 5 because they're losing a lot of players.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just saying that Block M holds a lot to they were ranked during the top 10 during the Rich Rod years, preseason rankings. They were never ever that good during the Rich Rod years. I'm talking preseason. I'm not talking after they play a couple games. I'm just talking straight up preseason rankings.
Right. Michigan State was ranked, 8, 6, something like that?
Yeah, and they fell like a hot rock as soon as games started being played. I mean, that's what I'm saying about these preseason rankings. They're a bunch of shit.
Yeah, they're in the top 10, but
since we're talking preseason rankings, I just want to say this before the national championship game, before the off season and the recruiting starts and all this bullshit. I just want to say this right now. As a Michigan fan, I can't even say that this is a step forward this season. To me, this is just a step to it's a plateau. Okay, and another 10-3 season with a loss to Ohio State, Michigan State, and no bowl game victory, that's a problem.
You're right. I agree.
And Jesus in khakis, just remember, homeboy, that some people call you Jesus in khakis because you're the savior. But just like the other Jesus, we know where the hammer and nails are, right? So
we will crown you. We're just saying.
Yeah, don't think your ass, Jesus, the New Testament picks up when Jesus was 30. 3 years in, where was he at the end of that book? Okay, I'm just saying.
Cain killed Abel. I'm just saying.
There better be forward progress next year.
I will argue that Michigan had the same kind of season that the Lions had. You had a season where you did what you were supposed to do. You beat all the teams you were supposed to beat.
I would disagree with that because they should have won that bowl game. Period. If they could pull it out after halftime. And Harbaugh is half the coach that people give him credit for. He should have made adjustments before halftime. That's just how I feel. So I
do want to give a shout out to Western Michigan because I lived in Kalamazoo for a while. Hell of a season.
They held their own against Wisconsin for a minute.
They did for a little bit. They did. They tried to do what they could do. It wasn't much, but
I know the MAC showing more balls through Western Michigan than the Big Ten did through Ohio State. What the fuck?
I know.
There you go.
So I'm saying it's another problem with the goddamn ranking system right there.
And the only Big Ten team to win their bowl game plays a MAC team. Let's be honest here. Come on now. That was not. It wasn't a squeaker of a win. But if any team should have blown out another team, like Ohio State got blown out, it should have been Wisconsin blowing out Western. That would have made a lot more sense. So, once again, congratulations. You did what was expected of you. I mean, that's really all I can take away from this season if we're looking at the Big Ten as a whole.
All right, who you guys got? Or are we going to wait till picks to do that?
Let's wait till picks.
All right. Rich, Winter Classic today. Did you watch?
I didn't watch today's. I watched yesterday's.
The alumni game?
No, I watched the Red Wings and Maple Leafs.
Oh.
And I did you see that alumni game? Yeah, I didn't figure. It's probably only local here in Toronto. Gary Roberts and Chris Draper damn near dropped the gloves.
Really?
Like, there was serious chirping going on between the two. Yeah.
In an alumni game?
Yeah. If you know anything about Gary Roberts he's insane. Like, he when he played, he didn't care who you were. He dropped the gloves and go in a heartbeat. So
listen to this line. Are you ready? This is what happened in the alumni game. Wayne Gretzky, Brett Hull, Adam Oates, Al McInnes, Chris Pronger, and their goalie was Martin Brodeur.
Damn.
I'm sitting here thinking, Rich, that is some fucking NHL 95 trade and bullshit. We overruled the trade, yes. Bring him here. I'm like, holy shit, how do you stop that? You can't.
I know, and our checking lines would be like Lindros, Probert, Koser, Buka Boom, and Kevin and Steve or Scott Stevens, you know.
I watched that and I was like, oh no, come on, no, you can't. That's not even unfair. That's never was. You can't do that.
Well, I mean, that's the nice part about watching those alumni games.
Yeah,
but no, I missed today's game. I did see the final score. The Red Wings and Maple Leafs one actually turned out to be really good because the Maple Leafs just opened it the fuck up on the Red Wings at one point. They were up 4-1, and the Red Wings came back to tie it. And I mean, you know, the Leafs, as the Wings are doing this year, they cannot win in overtime, and the Leafs won it in overtime. But I mean, it was a fucking great game. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't.
I can't, man. The highlight for me out of that whole Winter Classic was that line and Martin Brodeur in a fucking St. Louis jersey. I couldn't even hold it. I was dying. My wife Tina has no idea about hockey. Had no idea what I was laughing at. Oh my God. The whole time I'm watching this, I can't even focus on the game now because I'm thinking that's some me and Rich overruling trades and shit. Just all types of wrong. You can't have that.
I know, but I gotta say, man, it's kind of cheap to throw Brodeur out there for the fucking Blues. I mean, let's be honest here, dude.
But he came on and did an interview and said it, you know, yeah, he was in a Blues jersey and everything, but to be on the same ice as Wayne Gretzky, Al McInnes.
And he's not facing their shots for a change?
All right. Oh, dude. And I'm thinking to myself, who do you stop on that line? You can't. Even if you stop the great one, Wayne Gretzky, he's going to pass it to Brett Hull. You try to stop him, he's going to pass it to Adam Oates. God forbid they go to the blue line with Al McInnes. Move!
Yeah, I wonder if he can still hit triple digits with a slap shot. Probably not, but I guarantee you he could get up in the high 90s still, easily. Oh, God. But, yeah, I have to say, when they first started announcing all these outdoor games, I was like, oh, Glow Puck Part 2. But I've really warmed up to them. You know,
it reminds you of people you used to watch, though. That's why you get to see them again.
Well, there's that, but it's also it lends itself to better to better spectated on television than I thought it would. And apparently, I've never been to one, but apparently, people even that go, it seems like they're so far from the fucking ice they can't see shit. But they're like, no, it's great. There's no sight lines are great, you know, and there's. You know, when they had one at the big house, 100,000 people there and this and that. And I'm like, well, I mean, all right. Just seems to me it's got a little ice ring in the middle of this huge stadium, but okay. So, but hey, man, anything I guess.
Yeah, but even if you watched it at the big house though, and you got to see that line, tell me it wouldn't be worth it.
Oh, definitely, dude. One of the things that pisses me off is that I didn't get to catch when the Avalanche and the Red Wings played each other and they did their alumni games. I didn't get to watch that alumni game. That pissed me off. Because I just wanted to, one last time, see some Red Wings stomp on some fucking Colorado Edelmunch.
My greatest claim ever to a sporting event I went to was Michael Jordan's first game back out of his first retirement was a preseason game with the Pistons. That was his first game back ever from his quote-unquote retirement. And Sarah and I were 6 rows off the floor behind the basket. So I got to see Michael Jordan actually play. And I'm going to tell you, from experience, it's not just the TV. That motherfucker can fly. Because at one point he did do a breakaway, and then he jumped, and it was like in slow motion. It was like watching it on TV, and it was slowed down so you could see it, but it wasn't. It was live. And he just floated. And Sarah and I are like, oh. It was just so surreal to watch that live, and he never came down. He jumped and made it all the way to the basket, and I'm like, oh, my God, that just happened.
He did the Prince, and then he took one hand off the net and the other hand and floated down.
I'm just saying, man, it was a hell of an experience to watch, and when I was watching even on TV and I saw that line, I was dying. Rich, I wish you'd have been here. Because that was so a me and you moment sitting here with controllers going, no, get that one. All right, but I got to overrule the trade. Get Adam Oates, but they want too much. It's Adam Oates. We already got Gretzky and Hall. Adam Oates! No, dude, that took me way back. And, yeah, I get you feeling how you could warm up to it, because it did. Not just to watch that line and Brodeur as their goalie, but it took me back to a time in my life, and it was just so awesome to watch. And it's like, you're fucked. I don't care who you have. You're fucked. The goalie was Jim Brathwaite, dude. Or Jimmy Waite. Jimmy Waite, period.
Jesus.
Yeah, the score was 8-7. St. Louis won.
Well, it's very rare you get guys going full tilt at each other in those alumni games, but when you do, it makes for interesting watching. Because I got to say, you don't see football players have an old timers game, and baseball players' old timers games are basically softball games.
Yep.
Maybe basketball players, but like hockey players tend to stay in the shape long after retirement for some reason. I don't know.
How hilarious would an NFL old timers game be?
Oh God!
There'd just be ambulances just lined up on each side of the field.
That would turn into a flag football game. It has to be.
You think there's no defense played during the Pro Bowl?
But that's just it. They do have that. The old timers game, the retired player, they have a flag football game during that week.
Oh yeah, because that's all you need. See, they won't be able to have that. They won't be able to have that shit with certain players because you get certain guys, like if you get a Mike Singletary out there, all of a sudden his PTSD kicks in. Next thing you know, Steve Young looking like Joe Theismann version 2.0, and he's like, "It's a fucking God, it's a flag football game.
It's for charity, dick."
Sorry, I thought I heard Buddy Ryan screaming in my ear to kill him. Sorry, my bad.
I felt the pads.
Hey, so you bring up Buddy Ryan. We got some coaching vacancies in the NFL, don't we?
Some? Is there a coach left?
Hey, how about this?
Jim Caldwell, surprisingly.
Oh, well, I'm going to get to that, believe me. I got a lot to say about that.
No, there's like 6.
How about we get to the one that made me go, huh? The most, which is Kubiak. What the fuck?
He retired. He didn't get fired. He retired.
Where the fuck did that come from?
He has a lot of health issues.
He's been to the hospital a bunch of times in the last couple of years, hasn't he?
Yeah, even on game days. He wasn't there because he had to go to the hospital. He has a bunch of health issues. Unreported, personal life, But real talk, real shit. He's got a bunch of health issues. He came out, said he's fine right now. He's doing well. But coaching football at his level, to the way he sees it and wants it, is very taxing and takes too much. And he's got to go. And somebody on one of the talk shows here brought up a great point. Kubiak has been involved with the Broncos every step of the way when they won their championships. In the 80s and 90s when they won, he was offensive coordinator, I think. In the 90s, he did some other shit for them. Like, I don't know what he was. But then in the 2000s, he was the head coach. Every championship the Broncos won, Kubiak was there.
Maybe I underestimated the depth of his health issues. I didn't realize it was that much to get the man to retire. Because I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This isn't a going out on top situation, obviously, or else he'd have done it last year. I was just like, is it pressure from family? Is it pressure from the front office?
No. This isn't a question of whether he had a job or, he missed the playoffs or you're out type thing. This wasn't anything else other than his health. And it's 100% documented.
So if you meant pressure with Gary Kubiak, might be more blood pressure. Because that haven't been a bunch of heart issues that he's had?
Yes.
That'll do it.
Yeah, but it's not like a Jabril Peppers. Did he hurt? Did he not hurt? Is it real? Is it not? No, this is documented.
Let's be honest here. Uncle Urban also fucking left Florida because of heart issues, and then now he's up there in Ohio State. So, is this going to be a situation they're going to keep his seat warm for a couple of years?
No. Yeah, but there was also a lot of shit swirling around Urban when he all of a sudden stepped away. Like, didn't he have a lot of shady shit going down?
Well, look at the players he had on his. Look at the players he had on his team. He had Aaron Hernandez, and that was just one of 90 guys on the roster.
Is Tim Tebow really a saint?
So the shit that if and the stories that come out about Hernandez in college, if he was getting away with that shit, that means other players were getting away with shit we just ain't heard about, because that was buried until he went to trial. So, good point. I didn't think about that either. I don't.
But with Kubiak, though, like I said, in his defense, every championship Denver has won, Kubiak has been a part of that team somehow, some way. So this is, I'm almost 100% sure, is all about the health.
Does Rex Ryan end up in Denver?
Rex Ryan's got choices galore right now. With him and his brother Rob out looking.
I was talking to my colleague today, and he's like, no, he's done in the NFL. I'm like, man. Like, what are you talking about? He's Buddy Ryan's son. He will always coach somewhere. And
just somewhere.
And if you look at who's available, it makes the most sense for his style as far as teams.
Well, especially with the defense they got. Get out of here.
Well, also you got to consider the situation he's leaving. You have the Bills, which the more they talk since his firing, the more they're coming off like they're doing a fucking Chinese fire drill. Their GM comes out and says he wasn't privy to Ryan being fired. Last thing he knew is he walked in to talk to the owners, and then he saw Rex leave, and the owner come up and said, Rex Ryan's no longer our head coach. Now, if that's the truth, that organization's fucked, because that's a complete lack of communication between the three people at the top of that organization, the owner, the general manager, and their head coach.
Same thing happened in fucking San Francisco. Everybody knew Chip Kelly was getting fired. Nobody knew the general manager was getting fired. CEO came out on ESPN and said, I got nothing for you. I can't say a word to you that's going to make it right. That, I own the team, and, this is just how we're going to run it. I blame the upper management and the coach, and that's why the change. Because not only did Chip Kelly get fired, the GM got fired at San Fran as well.
Yeah, but I do have to give it up to the smart-ass reporter who asked that owner, said, well, if this is a problem at the top, why are you still here?
And he said, I own the team.
And he's like, owners don't get replaced. And it's like, well, you're missing the point. He's kind of saying you need to be replaced. So, like I said, it was a smart-ass comment by the reporter. But
it was.
Well, good luck with that, reporter.
I love the response, though, because I own the team.
I mean, that's the only response, really. I own the team, motherfucker. I have the receipts. Shut up.
Right. I pay the fucking paychecks. Go away.
Unless you're going to make me an offer right now, you're going to throw me a few $100 million. Like, you could shut the fuck up and keep asking me your question. Reporter making $30,000 a year.
Here's what I'm getting at. Okay, the Bills, obviously, that front office is a clusterfuck. With the 49ers, a lot of people took a look and said, okay, it was Jim Harbaugh who was their coach. Harbaugh wore out his welcome. Harbaugh has a habit of doing that, and he has a reputation of doing that. So a lot of people just wrote it off to that. Maybe there's a little bit more fire because we just keep seeing smoke. Maybe there's something going on out there.
Well,
just like in the Bills, where there's not the proper communication going on between the top three at the top.
There is, because Chip Kelly got overruled by the general manager to draft Dak Prescott.
Yeah, that would be, if I'm Chip Kelly, that's right there at the top of my fucking resume. I want to take Dak Prescott, and the GM overruled me.
Right, and now the general manager and me got fired. Shit rolls downhill. However, I got proof I wanted him. Okay, so, yeah, I'm with you on that. The surprise move for me wasn't Denver. It was more San Diego. You're moving your team, everything's going on, and you fire your coach?
Yeah, but they've had 3 shit seasons in a row. Like, that's NFL coach math, isn't it?
Well, I think so,
3
because
seasons, have a good one.
Jeff Fisher got released as they went to L.A.
North Turner's been gone for a while. This ain't the Chargers of the mid-2000s.
Right?
Maybe they took a look over at that fucking dumpster fire in the Rams camp and said, when we move, we want to start over fresh. We don't want to have to fucking replace our head coach halfway through a fucking season.
Yeah.
So let's just since we're doing a complete move, I mean, are they going to do a rebranding?
I don't know.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, so if they're doing a complete, rebranding from the top down, then that might make sense.
But at the same time,
as Chris said, they weren't doing anything, and that coach wasn't doing enough to really fucking be like, oh, you need to keep me.
You're right. But now on that exact point, can LA or Oakland Raiders go to Las Vegas after this season that they just had with Del Rio and Carr and Cooper and all them? Can they move?
Yeah. Do whatever the fucking owner wants.
Well, you can.
Regardless of the season they had.
Well, you have to get approval from the Shield, ultimately. You can't
even if they got it, I don't know if they could do that to those black holes.
You think if the Raiders are hemorrhaging money, Al Davis' son is going to go take a poll with the black hole on whether or not he thinks he should move the team? No, he's going to make the best business decision for the team.
True.
Because the black hole is going to tell him all to go fuck himself. But, I mean, if they're hemorrhaging money, if they haven't been making money for a while, I mean, it's...
Yeah, because there's a whole lot of precedent with teams who have a rabid fan base, but for whatever reason, it's not enough to keep them running in the black and them moving. Case in point, the Seattle Supersonics.
There you go.
I mean, they had a fucking rabid fan base, and they still moved that fucking team. The Cleveland Browns, same thing.
Yeah, dog pound, yep.
If you want to go back even further,
Baltimore Colts.
Baltimore Colts, yeah.
Okay, what about this, though? What if Rex Ryan ends up back in the Jets? Because there's a vacancy now. Bowles is gone.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, he's only been gone there for 2 seasons. And has any team ever done that? Have they ever brought back a guy they fired?
But I'm saying, it is Rex and Rob Ryan.
New York Yankees with Billy Martin. They brought him back multiple times. But that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. Especially that quickly, with that quick of a turnaround.
Rex's problem is he ain't Bill Belichick. Rex is as only good as the players he has. When he had a decent Jets team, he did decent. When he had a shitty Jets team, he did shitty. He never had anybody good in Buffalo except for Shady McCoy this year. Yeah, he had him last year, but he's injured the whole year. But Rex is only as good as what he's got. I think if he goes to Denver, he's a defensive coach. They're a defensive team. I think that's a good fit for Rex Ryan. I think he can finally get a Super Bowl ring if he goes to Denver.
I'm going to live true to my name and the ICEman and let you know I called it. Fucking Jaguars fired the coach and won out.
Okay, so they're going to keep the intern coach?
I don't know if they're going to keep the intern coach, but told you, once they get a better coach, doesn't have to be this coach, but a better coach than what they had, they were going to do something, and they did.
All right, well, okay, Iceman, use your great powers of perception into the future. Rex Ryan to Jacksonville.
No, Les Miles.
Would you call beating Tennessee with their second-string quarterback doing something?
Yeah, I would, because the Jaguars hadn't done shit.
I mean, they got the W, but, I mean, look who they got them against. I mean, that's... if one thing if you could kind of maybe tie it into one knock, you could go against the Pack is look how easy their last month was. Same kind of deal. Yeah, you won out. You won out. You played one good team your last month. You played Seattle.
Hey, give them credit. They won 6 games to win out.
That's true. But I'm saying
he didn't call it. He didn't call it until after they won the first 2, though. So.
Yeah, but you have to agree. Their last month a lot easier than the Lions' last month, as far as who they had to play.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying maybe you got a little bit of that going on with the Jags. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have got rid of their coach, but the Browns managed to put together 2 wins, right? Or no, did they only get 1?
No, they got 1. Pittsburgh beat them in overtime with a field goal.
Yeah, but who else is missing a coach?
The Eagles beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, with everybody sitting.
And Romo played what?
One set.
One series?
Yeah. Not one series, just one set. He was out there and led him down to the touchdown. And he was.
And then they put in the
Mark
Sanchez. The Sanchez.
The butt fumbler.
And who was it? Dak and who was with him? Was it Elliott on the sideline going?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Just watching them with the looks on their face. They had the gas face on the sideline openly. They were just like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Yeah, if you're an Eagles fan and you got a little bit of hope for next year off of that win, come on. You played half of the Dallas Cowboys. You didn't play the whole.
You didn't play
the Dallas. Yeah, you didn't play the Dallas Cowboys. You're going to be playing in the playoffs. Yeah, you played the Pop Warner Cowboys.
Speaking of interviews and everything, Romo got asked, "Did you learn anything?"
Yeah, I learned him going to Houston. That's what he learned.
Oh, what a fucking week, man.
And now we got
fired. Every head coach fired. You got 32 teams. There's 6 head coach vacancies. Back to college football for a minute. Did you guys hear about the offensive coordinator issue?
Be vague. Yeah. Specifics, Earl.
I can't think of his name.
Lane Kiffin?
Lane Kiffin got a head coaching job on the West Coast. And
you got to get with Florida.
Florida AAU.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nick Saban said, okay, you're not coaching this national championship game.
Well, I'm not shocked by that.
I read it was mutual.
It was kind of mutual. Nick Saban came up and said, we're going to transfer it to this because you're too distracted. And he said, yeah, because I'm trying to run plays for coming up game, and then I got a meeting with so-and-so, and I got a dinner with so-and-so, and then I got to do this play, and it was just too much. So I agree with the call.
Yeah, I saw a little article where he said, boy, it was a lot more work than I thought it would be to still be the OC and head coach at the same time. And I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. You're Monty Kiffin's son, okay? You know better than that, all right? There's more to that story than we know about as far as what they've released. Because Lane Kiffin basically took that job as the head coach because it was the only fucking school that gave him that job. And he went from being the head coach at Tennessee a couple years ago, being the new hotness to this. I mean, a team whose sole claim to fame is a brawl they had on field at the Orange Bowl with the fucking U. That's it. I mean, it'd be like fucking going from being John Gruden pre-Buccaneers to, he gets fired from the Raiders and he's now coaching, he's the head football coach at Eastern Michigan. Big fucking deal. You're telling me that's a step forward? That's not even a lateral move.
Can we get an over-under on how many of these head coaching jobs Gruden will be mentioned for?
All of them.
God, all of them.
Speaking of that,
Howard, Dungy,
right?
All be in the mix, right?
But I think Dungy they've given up on.
Yeah, Tony's a little too old now.
Yeah, I think for the most part, except for the hardcore people who really just want to see him coach again, the majority of sports reporters know that that's asinine to even bring his name up as far as a head coaching position at this point.
But with that, the Bills fired Rex Ryan and then lose to the Jets 10-30. 10-30. Golly.
The busted-ass Jets, who won, wasn't it their fourth win of the season or their third?
I don't even know, man, but it's the Jets. Come on, man. Woo, 10-30 against the Jets? That's not taking a step back. That's taking a freight train backwards.
Well, I mean, you could. That's karma. Getting even for Rex, you could argue.
Well, it makes a fabulous argument to hire Rex Ryan and Rob Ryan, don't it?
But the Bills ain't got shit. Like that's
You're right. The Bills didn't have shit, but they still beat the Pats and the Jets, and everybody. They didn't do terrible with Rob and Rex.
Tyrod sucks. Shady's fucking. When he's healthy, he's great, but Shady's got a durability problem. Sammy Watkins, I don't know why the fuck that guy's still even in the NFL. Like, he can't stay healthy. Like, just who do the Bills have? Their biggest name was their coach.
And they still beat the Pats.
I mean, I guess you could argue that every once in a while they can trot out Jim Kelly and what's left of his jaw after the cancer. I mean, right? They can go, hey, look. Yeah. Remember when we were the boy, I love losing Super Bowl team?
But, too, I'll argue with you, Earl, that wasn't the Bills beating the Pats. That was Rex beating Belichick. Because if you watch those two when Rex was at the Jets, every now and then Rex would get Belichick's number.
I think as cliche as this is to say, I think Rex Ryan loves coaching against Bill Belichick. And I think in his mind, I don't know if Belichick is so much, because who can tell? Reading Bill Belichick's like reading paint on a wall. Who knows half the time? But I think Rex Ryan sees it as a chess match, and it brings out the best in him. And, I mean, he doesn't win all the time, but he does win enough to where we're talking about it.
Yeah, he's beat the Pats at home. He's beat the Pats in the playoffs. Like, every now and then, Rex finds fucking Belichick's fucking his one weakness, and he exploits it. Like, I think you're right, Rich. It's one of those guys that every competitor's got that one competitor that'll bring out the best in him, and I think with Rex, it's Belichick.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I don't think it was any coincidence that he went to a team in the NFC North after he left the Jets. The thing is now there's no teams left for him to go to in the NFC North. So where does he go? And, to double back on the point, Denver was brought up. It does make a lot of sense. Denver still has enough in the tank to make, and the window's still open for them to make at least one or two more runs before they have to go into rebuilding mode. So, and what are they doing it with? Their defense. And that kind of fits Rex Ryan, down and dirty football. So
that's the home I see making the most sense for him. But we'll see. Supposedly Coughlin might end up back at the Jags, where he interviewed for him, I think, last week, which he was their first coach ever, wasn't he?
God, I can't even tell you, dude. Can't even tell you.
But should we talk about the playoffs now?
Lions are in.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're not even going to bring up the fact that Steve Smith retired?
I think we just did.
Yeah, pretty much. He didn't make a big deal of it.
I know, but I just want to point out something. How small is that guy compared to most fucking receivers?
Tiny.
I mean, think about it. That is not a big man. That is not a big man for working at Ford, let alone playing in the NFL. And that guy had arguably a whole lot of heart for 16 complete seasons. And that's the case. I think his body is given out, not his heart. I think if he was still physically able to play, he would do it. So,
yeah, I'll bullshit aside. He's a hell of a receiver, man. Quick as shit, man.
And believe me, that's not something that comes easy because, he played against my Bucks an awful lot of those 16 seasons. I wasn't exactly a big fan of his on certain Sundays, so let's put it that way. But I could never take any disrespect away from the guy. I mean, that was a tough little son of a bitch out there.
Yeah, when he played in Carolina, man, he was quick. Fast little bastard.
I mean, to me, it's kind of, you're right, Earl. He didn't make a big deal about it. And
I actually like the way he did it.
Because he hasn't, it's kind of, it's there, but it's kind of under the radar. You know what I'm saying? He didn't go out on like a Michael Strahan style. Well, you know what I'm saying?
The way he put it is, it wasn't like a Kobe thing where he had to get all the passes and all the shots and make a big deal of his last game. I guess he played it and he loved it and it's done.
I mean, I guess the only question left is, does he end up wearing the gold jacket in Canton one day?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think how he retired was kind of like his career. He was kind of always one of those under the radar guys. Like
I can tell you this, it won't be a first ballot if he makes it.
Like he wasn't. I guess he wasn't a go-to playmaker. He was a playmaker, but he wasn't like your go-to guy. I guess.
Yeah, he wasn't the guy on the team.
Yeah, he was. He's always been that under the radar guy.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't think under the radar guys get into the Hall.
But Rich, with that question, you bring up a very good question that I have. Who the hell is the MVP of the NFL this year? I not even going with Matt Stafford. Zeke. But hang on, it's how do you measure it though?
Because there's a lot of fucking weird stats to see. First of all, the most accurate passer in the history of keeping that stat came out of fucking Minnesota this year. Okay. Drew Brees quietly had a 5,000 yard season. I mean, what are you going to go by? Pure wins? Are you going to go by passing yards? Are you going to go by touchdowns? Are you going to go by? I mean, Brady. The Pats played more quarterbacks than they threw interceptions all season. Think about that. They played 3 quarterbacks this season, only threw 2 interceptions. I mean, it's just it's a weird season because usually it's the guy with the best stats on the best team. You can't really boil it down to that this season.
No, because I'm looking at Derek Carr.
See,
what about Antonio Brown? What about Le'Veon Bell?
No, because they still won without them.
Yeah, but look at their performances. We're just talking about kind of everything's out the window. I mean, Bell is the best rush. Bell had the first month of the season off and is arguably probably the best rusher in the league this year.
Well, Tom Brady had the first 3 weeks off.
4.
First 4 weeks off. And look what he did.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But at the same point now, Pats won without Brady.
Exactly. And if
the Oakland Raiders can't win without Derek Carr. He broke his leg. They lose.
And just to throw it out there, kind of a callback to what we were talking about earlier with preseason rankings in the Block M. You can't count out Rodgers in the running just because of who he plays for. And the fact that he actually on that Monday night game, did he? I can't remember. Did he pass or did he just tie for the season high touchdowns?
No, it's his.
Okay, his and his alone. So
did he get 7?
He got 8.
8? Yeah, wasn't the number 6 before?
I think it was 7, and then he passed it. And as much as I hate to admit it, Rodgers is a very good candidate because who does he have? He has Nelson.
Jordy Nelson.
That's
Randall Cobb.
No, Randall Cobb didn't play.
What, on Monday?
Right.
Well, yeah, but he played the rest of the year.
Right, but he didn't play on Monday, and he still won.
I think you make a strong case for Zeke, man. First of all, Dallas hasn't had a running game since Emmitt Smith, and I think if Zeke doesn't play, I don't think the Cowboys have the record they have.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind those 2 rookies are the reason the Dallas Cowboys have won, Dak and Zeke. Because who are you going to stop? Zeke? Okay, Dak's going to run and or throw it. All right, so you're going to stop Dak. All right, so hand it off to Zeke.
I could see something like Zeke winning. I could see something because of the NFL being quarterback fuckers like they are. They love to fuck the quarterbacks. I could see Zeke getting Rookie of the Year and Dak getting MVP.
Or I could see him doing this and doing a co-MVP with Dak and Zeke. Because that's America's team, and they'll take it.
Well, I mean, has it ever been done? I don't know enough about MVP NFL history to know if it's ever been a co-MVP.
I don't know. It's been done in baseball. It was done this year in baseball with the Cubs. But at the same time, though, I mean, yeah, Dak and Zeke, but there's just so much, and you gotta. It really boils down to how do you define most valuable player of the league? Do you define that by their performance? Do you define it by winning percentage? Do you define it that if, like Derek Carr, if he's out, they're not winning, regardless what their defense and rest of their offense does? So where's the line? What do you see as important and most valuable? Do you look at Aaron Rodgers going, relax, and then come back and go, well, I believe we're about to run the table and get into the playoffs, and then he does it with or without his receivers, with the receiver converted to a running back? I mean,
I think it's got to be a combination of stats and how valuable you are to your team.
At that point, you're looking at Aaron Rodgers.
Well, yeah, because I mean, Derek Carr, you could argue Carr is valuable to the team, but he doesn't have the stats. He had a good season, best season of his career, but this quarterback's with way better numbers than him this year.
Right.
Now, my argument for Zeke is give me a running back with better numbers than him this year. I'll give you Le'Veon Bell if he plays the full season.
Yeah,
if Zeke doesn't play, man, I don't see the Cowboys 14-2. They all of a sudden have a dominant running game that they haven't had since we all had, since hair was new to our balls. All right, in the Emmitt Smith years.
I mean, ultimately, no matter what, it's a good problem for the NFL to have because if they're picking from, Aaron Rodgers, Zeke, Dak, whatever, it's two of their flagship franchises. This is what they want. They guaranteed sales. Jersey sales are going to go up no matter what. It's not some dark horse from fucking Jacksonville, who won the MVP, and then they're like, oh shit, here we go, And for all the talk over last season about how Cam Newton is the new face of the NFL, I don't think the NFL wanted him as the face of that game.
Not now. Now he's like LeBron James.
Yeah, I think he for whatever reason left a bad taste in the NFL's mouth. The NFL is more than happy to have someone like Zeke or Dak be the new face of the young NFL.
Cam Newton fucked himself after the Super Bowl last year. That's probably when the NFL made that decision.
Well, not just after that. Then he went and wrecked his truck and cries every time he gets hit. And yeah, no, that's not NFL material.
Yeah, that's one thing if that is the case, I'll give the NFL credit because at least they're not trying to shove that shit down the fans' throats like, the NHL does with, their little golden boy, Sydney. And, whether facts, stats, or, fans' opinion are against them shoving him down the fans' throats, that's who they shove down the fans' throats. The NFL, they're going to...
They seem to have the attitude of like, all right, you're going to act like a little bitch? Well, we have a draft every April.
Exactly. The NFL knows that, among other things, the NFL could stand for not for long if you don't play ball. And ultimately, the NFL is going to protect that shield, and there's no player bigger than that shield. They've rigged the game to be that way. And I think Cam Newton got a little too ahead of himself there. And the NFL is like, don't think so, dude. Sorry. There'll be another 1 year wonder to come down the pipe here anytime soon.
Yeah, because definitely different kind of season for Carolina this year. So, playoffs. Oh, I guess we're kind of already talking about the playoffs. But I mean, they start Saturday. You know, we got. Should we talk about the home team matchup first? Just get it out of the way.
You know what? I'll go ahead and talk about them.
It's the matchup you wanted, Earl.
Nope.
You said it on the last. You said it on the last episode.
Yeah, you're right. It is my matchup that I wanted, but at the same time, they're not ready. They're not ready.
To be fair, they're not ready for the other three teams either, or the other two teams either. I mean, I don't see anyone who made the playoffs in the NFC. I do not see the Lions beating any one of those teams.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. They're not ready for the playoffs, period. And I'm very disappointed to say that. I'm going to support them as far as they go, but they're not ready.
Well, against Seattle, you need to run the ball. Unless Zenner has a career game, man, we're done. Because even without Earl Thomas, the Legion of Boom is not going to let us throw the ball. It's the bottom line. Any team who's beat Seattle this year has beat them on the ground.
But at the same time, though, Zach Zenner, woo, that's just a hard-nosed running.
Yeah, but he showed flashes of this before. The knock against him was that he's not an every down back, and he's not a game in, game out back that can do this.
Yeah, he's got to be consistent. You know, you can't just show this kind of performance and burst. You got to do it consistently. That's how you stick around the NFL. That's how you keep making the team. That's how you keep making plays.
And I know
it's got to be consistent.
And I know that you had already moved by the time the hype train started with him, because believe it or not, the hype train started up a ways back with Zenner. And a lot of it was attributed to the fact that he's a white running back. And there was a lot of squabbling back and forth in the local sports media up here about that. To where if this was not a white running back, no one would be as excited as they are about him. And
I get that, but I never looked at him as a white running back. I actually thought he should have been a fullback because he reminds me a shit ton of Mike Allstott. He doesn't care what defense he's running against, who's the big star on the defense. He's just running, man. You hit him, okay, I'm still run. If you tackle him, all right, I'll get you next time. And he just takes the ball and runs. It's just a hard-hitting, non-stop runner.
It's funny you should bring that up because that was one of the people that his detractors up here were comparing him to, and they were saying Mike Allstott. Basically, to paraphrase, they were saying Mike Allstott wasn't shit. The only reason Mike Allstott got the love he did is because he was white and because his ratings were so high in Madden.
Oh, bullshit. He fucking was the lead blocker for Warwick Dunn.
And the only thing I could come back with is when I got into this discussion with a coworker, and he brought up Allstott. I said, well, I'll tell you what, Mike Allstott's my favorite all-time football player. But I'll say this, Lorenzo Neal is a better fullback than he ever was. I have no problem saying that. Now tell me that Lorenzo Neal.
Well, I mean, if we're going to go
for LaDainian Tomlinson,
if we're going to just go off of fullbacks and start talking, sorry, but most of my fullbacks I'm going to talk to you about are white, and it's not because they're white. That's just because they were mean sons of bitches. I'll talk to you about Rathman from 49ers, Moose Johnson from Dallas Cowboys. You know, I could do this shit all day. But, I mean, you know, I'm not going to play the race back and forth and it has to be black or white. I'll just tell you the names. You can look up the stats and you have no argument, sir. So that's how I'd answer them.
I mean, I'm with you. I'm just saying it's funny that you brought up Allstott out of all people. I mean, because that was the knock against up here in the local sports media. That's what it was. And it basically, whether or not you bought into it was based on if you want to see things through race, or if you just want to see, hey, look, I don't give a shit, put the best player out there. I don't give a fuck what color he is. So
again, I am colorblind, I guess, when it comes to shit like that, because I'm not talking about his race. I'm talking about a kid getting handed the ball and running. And if he gets it, he continues to run until he's tackled. You know, I talk about Barry Sanders a lot. He's black, but you couldn't tackle him. I've watched him make 8 professional fucking tacklers miss in one shot. And I watched the other number 9 of the 11 that were out there, stop, look, put his hands up, like, where'd he go? And he's running behind him.
Well, that's the thing. You're also talking about two backs of two complete different styles. You're talking about Sanders, who is an elusive back, and then you're talking about Zenner, who's more of a power back.
He is a power back. That's all I'm saying. I'm excited about him because the kid's got heart. The kid has no quit in him. He understands he's white. He understands he's little, but he understands that he can take a hit and keep running. So he knows what he's got to compete with. And I personally don't care if he's white, black, Chinese. The kid can run.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail the conversation off onto, some bullshit, some race bullshit. But like I said, it's just something that had been brought up here. Whenever his name had been brought up when the hype train started up for him back, a ways ago. So, but I mean, getting back to Detroit versus anybody in the playoffs. I got to agree with Chris. I don't see anybody in the NFC they could beat. And I think this props up Caldwell as the worst, quote-unquote, good coach who's going to keep his job. And ultimately, this is going to hurt the Lions in the long run because they can't rebuild through free agency. Those days are gone. You have to do it through the draft these days. And if they start playing the Red Wings game that the Wings have been playing the last 10 years, which is we're just good enough to get in the playoffs, that means lower and lower draft picks. And the Lions are already suspect with their picks. And then when you add a lower draft pick versus a higher one, the chances of them making the wrong decision go up quite a bit. And I just think that this buys Caldwell at least 2 more years because now he can say, 2 out of 3 years I took you to the playoffs. But ultimately, what the fuck did they do in the playoffs? Because if we're sitting here next week at this time, we're talking about a Lions victory, I'll be the first one to eat that fucking crow. But I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I'd put a lot of money down. We won't be talking about a Lions victory next week.
I did have a thought today, and Earl, you would appreciate this. Is this quietly the best Lions team of our lifetime? Because 3 out of the last 5 years, they've went to the playoffs. That has never happened in our lifetime until this year.
So you're talking about this stretch?
Yeah. Caldwell, after 3 seasons, Caldwell has to be the best coach of our lifetime record-wise.
Well, I mean, they've made it, 3 of the last 6 seasons?
Is it at 5? Because wasn't 2011 when we played the Saints?
2011, Saints. 2014, they made it, and then 2016. Yeah. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, so, yeah. 3 of the last 6 seasons, they've made the playoffs. But my thing is, here's
I know Cocaine Wayne didn't do that. I know Bobby Ross sure shit didn't do that.
Here's my thing. It's not just enough to get there. You got to do something when you get there. And I haven't seen, once again, forward progress.
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying, is this quietly just the best Lions team of our lifetime?
At least Barry won one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I would say of the last, easily the last 20 years, this is the best stretch of Lions football I've seen. I don't know if I could go during our lifetime just because, Early had a good point. Barry, at least, and them guys actually won a playoff game.
And not for nothing, I don't see what I need to see from the Lions to say that they're going to win a playoff game this year. I didn't care whether they played the Giants or Seattle. I don't care if the Seahawks are healthy or hurt. And I hate saying it. I'm going to still pick them. They're my team, period, end of file. But I know that I'm picking for the loss, and that's okay. They're just not ready yet. You need that drop, Chris. Ooh, no, he wasn't ready. Yeah, that's the Lions right now. It just.
But Chris brings up a good point. This is in the NFL, you get windows to make runs, and this has been a window that's been in retrospect open for 6 seasons now for them. And if history tells us anything, that window is going to get closed very sooner rather than later. So they better do something. And this is why I say them making the playoffs this year props them up as better than they actually are, especially when it comes to Caldwell, especially when it comes to getting a chance to try to build to keep the window open. Because they really have no running game. Zenner hasn't proved that he can do it for a season. If he does, then we'll eat our words. Defensive line is nowhere near what it used to be. When Slay is out, they're fucked. I mean,
we need corners and backs. Like, whoa,
exactly.
You know, I thought Quinn was going to be amazing. He's not. You know, Louis Delmas wasn't the fastest guy, but he would hit you at least. You know what I'm saying? He would find you and hit you.
When he was healthy.
Whitehead's proven to be a much better linebacker than anybody gave him credit for, but we found that out.
Because he used to be on the practice squad.
We found that out through necessity.
Right. When
it's not like he was the first choice to go out there.
No, DeAndre Levy was, and then he got hurt. And then they put Whitehead in and said, oh, wait a minute. It's not just a practice squad thing. He can really play.
Exactly. So, I mean, they've kind of, backed into the position they're in. I mean, let's be honest here. Not a lot of this team is by design at this point. And so if it's not by design and a lot of it's just shit happened and the pieces fell where they fell, you can't count on dumb luck to get you to a Super Bowl. This isn't Madden. This isn't a video game. You're going against franchises who are built for this shit.
Caldwell makes bad moves. Was it the Houston game? Where, what was we talked about it. Caldwell did something during the Houston game where I was like, is this Madden?
Well, at least
I forget what it was.
At least they didn't pull a morning wig and give him the win.
I know, right? Marty will never live that shit down. And he shouldn't.
I took the win. I gave him the ball. What? Stupid.
Yeah.
You realize this isn't college football, right? You don't each get a chance to score, right? You realize that?
No, I hoped. And I called this last week. They had 3 strikes, and they struck out, all 3 of them.
Sure did.
We were saved by Mr. You Like That.
Yeah, I wonder if Jim Caldwell sent the Redskins a fucking edible arrangement.
I was going to say, yeah, that's right there all you need to know. The fact that, they owe themselves getting into the playoffs to another team's fuck up more than their own ability. And to my credit, my Lions friends have not been talking shit because I think they see what's coming down the road and they're like, this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt. And there's going to be no way to spin this as, well, we did our best. Because, I mean, the last 3 games, they got exposed, man. That's all.
Every time Stafford throws the ball, Sherman's just going to be there fucking just knocking him down, man.
It's not Sherman. It's not Dallas, Giants, Roger. It's not that at all. It's the Lions in and of themselves. And I saw it this week when they played Green Bay. I don't know why. Their playing style, they had a plan, used the rope-a-dope theory, whatever. But there is no sense of determination or urgency on the Lions, on both sides of the ball, until they hit the last half of the fourth quarter. There is no way that Matt Stafford can get under center with 2 minutes and lead them all the way down the field and score, but he can't do it the rest of the game. I don't know if it's a conditioned issue, if they're not built for it. Like, if they run that way the entire game, they'll be gassed in the fourth quarter. I don't know what it is, but I saw it, and we've seen it throughout the season. All the comebacks, and Matt Stafford's a great quarterback. Yeah, he is, but why isn't he doing that all 4 quarters?
It goes back to that word that gets thrown around that has a lot of intangibles attached to it, and that word is the culture in the locker room. I don't think those guys believe they're a Super Bowl caliber team. I believe they talk the talk because they come from the school of fake it till you make it, the Kid Rock school of being a rock star, but ultimately they know they don't belong on that fucking stage. And
I think, too, you still got some stink-a-millin on that team. Quinn's only been there, 2 years? You're going to undo a decade of Millen in 2 years? No.
That's the other thing.
You're not.
This goes back to what I was saying. Quinn isn't going to be able to rebuild the team. He wants to rebuild that team in the image that he has in his mind, and this is putting him off. And Martha Ford, who's running that team, Remember her press conference? We love Jim Caldwell. Those were her exact words. So Quinn, I would argue that Quinn's head's on the chopping block more than Caldwell is at this point. But his hands are tied because you got a team that keeps, dumbassing its way into the playoffs every other year. I mean, granted, it's not every other year, but damn close to it. And then doing what? Shit in the bed once they're there. So
they just, like I said, I think it's a condition issue, like a physical condition. Like if the defense and offense ran the way they do in the later of the fourth quarter throughout the whole game, they would be completely gassed by come fourth quarter. I don't think they have the condition physically, the physical conditioning to play all four quarters. Because there's no way that you can't score on the Green Bay Packers and watch them pull away from you, and then in the fourth quarter come out there, get under center, and whoom, everybody's catching, everybody's running, and we're lining up under the ball, we're going no huddle, and Packers are what the fuckins, they don't know what's going on, and the ball's flying everywhere. You can't do that in the fourth quarter and tell me that you can't do that in the first quarter. There's no, and I watched it, and I watched it very specifically for that reason. They don't have a killer mentality. They don't have determination, a sense of urgency, a sense of we can score and we know it when they come out, start the game. It isn't till late in the fourth quarter when they're like, fuck, we got to score, hurry up. And then that sense of urgency and the killer instinct and we're going to do this no matter what and get up there and here we go. It only comes out in the later fourth quarter. They don't carry it onto the field when they first get there. Rodgers has it. The Green Bay Packers as a whole has it. Fucking Dallas definitely has it. The Raiders have it. I mean, all the powerhouse teams have it. All the playoff teams have it. It's the other job's team to stop them. But Detroit comes out and they're just like, all right, here we are. Let's play. All right, you're going to score. All right, here we go. Oh, we're 3 and out. And that's how it happens the whole fucking game. Then you get to the later fourth quarter, they're like, oh, fuck, game time, forgot. Get up there, let's go, run. And
I also wonder how much of the fire under their ass was put out with Washington losing.
No, I can't do that. I wanted to do that. I wanted to say that very thing. Pull the starters, hey, we're already in the playoffs, let's wait. But that's not true, because then I have to tell you about the Giants game, the Dallas Cowboys game.
Yeah, but the Lions are neither of these teams.
But the Lions had chances to secure the division by beating these teams.
Oh, no, I agree, but I'm just saying on Sunday night, how much do you think of the fire under their ass was maybe extinguished a little bit with Washington losing? Like, hey, we're in the playoffs.
None.
Let's play hard, let's not.
The Detroit Lions hasn't won a division since 1993. Hasn't had a home playoff game since then. Since 93. We had three shots at it with New York, Dallas, and at home with the Green Bay Packers and couldn't get it done. So I'm not going to take, we're in the playoffs, let's just coast and say that's an excuse. I told you, they're my boys, win or lose, and they are, but I'm going to call a spade a spade. They're not ready to win. And they don't get ready until the fourth quarter and they're losing. I don't know why. I think it's a condition issue. I really do. If they play that level through 4 quarters, they'll be gassed and they're going to lose anyway. So they're trying the rope-a-dope method of take it easy until it counts.
I think you hit on it. You call it a conditioning issue. I call it a lack of a sense of urgency. And I've seen it. You can see when a team's playing with a sense of urgency and when they're not. And I totally agree with you. I would say that more than conditioning. That's just me. That's what I see. When I see it in other sports with other teams, I recognize it immediately, and I'm like, okay, well, obviously it's something, once again, that goes back to it's something in the culture that's part of the intangible. It's just, for whatever reason, these guys don't play the first, 3.5 quarters the way they play the last half of the fourth quarter.
And the reason, Rich, the reason I say that it's conditioning is because if you watch NBA or even NHL, if it's a condition issue, like Shaq never ran the full court every time. until it counted. Because if he did, that big motherfucker would fall over and die. You'll see it on
out.
Right. You'd see it in the NHL too. The top scorers sit back by the blue line a lot of the time when they're not conditioned to skate the full length of the ice, and then they take that pass, hope it's an outlet pass, and try to go score because they don't have the condition to run the full length of the ice. I honestly think the Detroit Lions haven't conditioned enough, worked hard enough to play 4 quarters of football at 100%.
Well, if that's the truth, that speaks to their head coach. That's on him. You can't put that
100%.
You can't put that at anybody else's feet, because even if you got lazy players, well, then you know what, you get rid of those players. Because if even if half the team's like, man, I don't want to do this shit, as the head coach, it's your job to either motivate them or find someone who wants to do this shit.
Before Ndamukong Suh came to Detroit, we had 2 defensive tackles, okay? Even after Ndamukong Suh, 2 defensive tackles. Sean Rogers, remember him?
Mm-hmm.
And
Big Baby.
Nick Fairley. They would play maybe 1 to 3 snaps.
Wasn't Fairley drafted after Suh?
Yes.
Yeah, he was.
But they would play 1 to 3 snaps. And after that, they would be sitting on the sideline, and sometimes they'd pan on them, and they'd be wearing an oxygen mask. Because at that point, the defense was playing at a very high level all game. Offense, not so much, trying to get it to Calvin every now and again, get those numbers up and shit. But the defense, high level all the time, high octane line. Because you had, what the fuck is his name? Kyle Vandenbosch at the end.
Yeah.
Sue, Fairley, and Cliff Averill at the other end. I mean, come on, man. They were running every down. And Nick Fairley couldn't keep up, and his big fat ass was sitting on the sideline with an oxygen mask. Same thing with Sean Rogers. Same thing. He'd play 3-4 plays, then he'd be on the sideline. And then that's when they would dig us for a big run. The Lions can't stop the run. No, because our run stopper's on the fucking sideline gassed. And I really think after watching these last few weeks of football with the Lions, love them to death, but a spade is a spade. They don't have what it takes to play at 100% for 4 quarters of football. Because they don't do it. They have it. You see it. You see it. They talked about it. All the 4th quarters. Comebacks. They can do it. But why can't they do it for 4 quarters? If you can do it here, then you can't tell me it's because of Rodgers or Eli or Odell Beckham Jr. or Zeke or Dak. You can't tell me it's that because you've done it in the 4th quarter. It just wasn't enough in the 4th quarter. You ran out of fucking time.
I hate to say this, but what I'm going to love after this weekend is, outside of recapping the games, we're done talking about the Lions for this season. And I'm not saying that in a smart-ass way. It's just because of the nature of where we're from, we focus so much on this team, and it's just like, it's tiresome. Like, I'm glad I have compassion and empathy for the beat writers who have to follow this team every single day.
Okay, stop it, because after this, I'm following the Pistons.
I'm just saying, it takes it out of me. It takes it out of me. Like, because it's just every week, it's the same shit. And we can only rewrap it and represent it in so many different ways. And here's the deal. If we see it, and hundreds of other people who cover this team see it, then that means these people in this organization have to be self-aware to see it themselves. Yet it never changes. It's always the same.
Because like like Chris says, it's all about putting, asses in the seats and making that money. And if they make the playoffs 3 out of 6 years, that's 50%. There's jersey sales. There's asses in seats. You're watching the team. They don't need to be any better than that, bro. Because
the problem with the Lions is the seats will always be full, regardless of the product. That's the fans' fault. Like, even in the paper bag days, there's still people in the seats.
Yeah,
so
wearing their paper
is the owner's fault.
The owner's not making the people buy tickets and go to the games. No one's forcing the money. No one's forcing these people to buy tickets. They're still showing up of their own free will.
Right. It's as much our fault as it is the owner's fault that this continues.
Yep. And we're near the 3-hour mark, guys. So I guess let's just roll into the picks. I guess let's start with the first game we were talking about here. The Lions and Seahawks. It's the second game of the day, but it's our home team, goddammit, so we're saying it first.
How did we finish the season, Chris?
Dude, you won. Did you go 0-16 last week?
Close.
Then you won. Like, unless you won 0-16 and Rich went 16-0, you won. I'll crunch the numbers.
Didn't even get into it.
When I get back to my laptop, I'll crunch the numbers when I'm back in the studio next week. But yeah, dude, you won. So if you want to pick the order, we'll go in here for our big 4 games this weekend.
No, I'll go ahead. Chris, Rich, and me.
All right, Seahawks. I mean, the Seahawks are at home. We just did an hour about how much the Lions are not ready for this. Yeah, Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing left to be said. Seahawks.
It's my boys. I got to go, Lions. Got to. There's a chance. You're saying there's a chance.
All right, now this next game, 2 weeks ago, this is a slam dunk. It's the first game of the wild card game, the AFC wild card on Saturday. But now, man, flip a coin. Raiders at the Texans. Hey, by the way, you're talking about calling shit? Chiefs won that division. Just saying. But continue. Oh, wait, I go first. Oh, Jesus. I like the Raiders' offensive weapons better than the Texans, even though Derek Carr's out. Give me the Raiders.
Yeah, that's how I'm feeling, too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough luck that Derek Carr's out for the Raiders, but the Texans are nowhere near the Chiefs or any place close to that. Yeah, Texans are out. Give me the
Raiders will get their 1, right? And then they'll lose next round with the Chiefs.
I so don't see them going out to the Texans. Not to the Texans.
Yeah. And then Sunday, 1 o'clock game, AFC wildcard, Steelers at Dolphins. I mean, I know the Dolphins are 10-6, and the Steelers are 10-5. It's like a 1-game difference, but look at the two teams play. I think the Steelers are going to run away with this one.
Yeah, I'm going with the Steelers, and to me, the Steelers are one of the few teams that once you get them in the playoffs, home field advantage is nice, but it's not something they need to win because they've done it without it before. And as much as we talked about the culture of losing in the Lions locker room, that's a culture of winning in the Steelers locker room. I feel like that they can. I think they're one of those teams that feel like that they have a shot against any team they go up against at any point. So yeah, give me the Steelers over the Fins.
All right, the afternoon game Sunday.
Oh,
Earl, damn it! Yeah, sorry, couldn't have myself. I'm tired. My bad.
all I'm going to say is, if you're going to watch any of the playoff games this week, watch this one. This is going to be a hell of a game. The Fish quietly have developed a huge running game. And, the defense isn't terrible, as it shouldn't be. Cameron Wake, it's Dominic Sue, and I can go on, but that's enough. It's going to be a great game. That's going to be a good game. Yeah, but give me Pittsburgh. Oh, shit. Pennsylvania. Uh-oh.
All right, so next up, Lambeau Field, Giants at the Packers. I mean, once again, I'm going to pretty much kind of give the same synopsis I just did. I know the Giants are 11-5 and the Packers are 10-6, but I've been more impressed with what I've seen on the field this year from the Packers. Their little 4-game slide notwithstanding. I mean, yes, the Giants are the Cowboy killers, but once again, you can't stop momentum, and that's what the Packers have got, man. Rodgers' balls dropped in the middle of the season. I mean, he's now the big dick swinging in the room. Give me the Pack, man. They're at Lambeau. I don't see this Giants team beating the Pack.
This is my rough one. This is my real rough one. Giants have been giant killers in the past, man. And, I mean, this year they took down the best in the NFC twice. But, I mean, if the Giants were at home, I'd pick them. But I'm going to go with the Pack at home over the Giants.
Yeah, they're basically the same team. Packers and the Giants are basically the same team. There's one thing that's different, and that's their quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is better than Eli Manning. That's it. Their defenses are great. The receiving core is great. What's different? The quarterback. And Eli Manning, lucky he has 2 Super Bowls. Lucky. But he ain't getting lucky in Lambeau. Give me the Pack.
All right, so do we want to pick the national championship game while we're at it?
Sure, why not?
Pick Alabama? Should
No.
we all just...
No.
Alabama.
I don't wanna.
You don't want to?
No, because that's gonna be a what the fuckins, man. I really think Clemson's gonna give them a run. Clemson has been aching for this game for a fucking year. They wanted Alabama the night they lost to them. You talk about chips, Chris. This chip, they have a whole bag chilling, and it's gonna be struggling to watch this game. I don't know that Alabama's ready. I don't know that they're hungry. I know, Nick Saban's like mini Bill Belichick, and he's like a whiz, and he might be able to outcoach him, but just to watch what Clemson did to Ohio State and didn't even blink, man. Them boys.
I know, man, but I mean, we've talked about New England and how it's a system there. I mean, I think you can argue the one school in college where there is a system is Bama, man. Like,
I totally agree with you. That is the end-all, be-all at college. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I do. But this is a revenge game, my friend.
I mean, in the last decade, unless you're LSU or Auburn, who's fucking with Bama, really?
I'm gonna pick Clemson.
Nah. I'm with Chris. I got Bama. Hey, fuck it. At least we finally got to a game where we all don't agree on.
I know, right?
I got to pick Clemson. I just the chip they're carrying, the weight, the anger, the fact that the coach looked at them this week and said, "Could you play 4 quarters of defense for me?" And they did, and shut out Ohio State. All right, so they're better and all that good shit, but to shut them the fuck out?
I will say this: I absolutely don't give a single fuck about this game. I will watch it, but I think Bama's going to win. But if Clemson wins, hey, I'm just sick of Bama.
If Alabama wins, it's only because he got out-coached by Nick Saban, which is a high probability. Very high.
I mean, I'll say this. I think Bama's going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Clemson does. I mean, they made Ohio State look like a bunch of bitches.
It made Ohio State look like they weren't even there.
I mean, Clemson's been that team this year. I'll give you that. They fucking just been dominant, but Bama's a machine. So we'll see.
Yeah, to me, this is Peyton Manning Broncos against the Pats. I mean, that's this game. I think Clemson with the chip and the drive and the meanness, I think they just have it. I think Nick Saban's coaching can only do so much. I think these players are revved and ready to fire. They have said, and you can research this, guys, they have said this all season long, we want Bama. They were so focused on Ohio State, they didn't even know Alabama won their playoff game. There were players on the sideline that said, who won?
Yeah, but don't be surprised if just Bama takes that attitude of, all right, you want some Bama? Here you go.
And it can happen. 100%. I'm with Rich. I don't care.
Right up your ass.
Right. And it's
Gag on it.
possible.
Squeeze some tears out, bitch. Gag on it. Just all the Bama you can handle. Rolling tide straight down your throat, bitch.
Right. But I think with the burden and the chip that these seniors and everybody else has come with, no. I just Nick Saban coaching can only do so much, and you can't outcoach, the drive that they have been playing with.
Well, we will see. When is that game? Like 2 weeks from now? Like, I remember when we were a kid, it was on New Year's Day. Like, when is it now? February 1st?
Oh, it's the 9th. No, it's January 9th. It's Monday.
How soon before they start butting it up against the Super Bowl for the ultimate cash grab?
Oh, I don't think so.
Because really, you only got to move it, a couple weeks? And then it's like the week before the Super Bowl?
No. 50 years ago, maybe. But no. NFL stands king over everything now at this point.
And not just that, you want the national championships where it's at in January, because that's this money for this month. Next month, you got the Pro Bowl and then the Super Bowl.
Man, does the Pro Bowl really bring in money? I mean, I guess the players go down there and spend all their money on stupid shit.
Well, all the fans and experience they have and all the people they bring back and all the...
But, man, as much as I love football, I will never pay money to go see the Pro Bowl. I fucking won't even watch it for free half the damn time.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's why they started moving it around instead of just having it in Hawaii, is because they figured maybe if they moved it around, people would like, oh, it's in Orlando? Well, I'm in Daytona Beach. It's not that far of a drive. Hey, fuck it. Let's go to the Pro Bowl. But to be honest with you, I don't know, because if they price people out of if the Pro Bowl is priced out of your average fan's ability to pay, then they're fucked. They might as well have kept it in Hawaii, because that's the only people who can afford to go.
But it's not just the Pro Bowl game. It's about the week-long fan experience that comes with it. You don't actually have to go to the game, but you can watch the flag football they play, talk to all the former pros that they bring back, do all the fun shit.
Get a lap dance next to
Michael Irvin. Yeah.
Michael Irvin and Barry Sanders and some of Orlando's finer clubs down on Church Street. Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying, it's the experience.
Get thrown through a plate glass window at a bar by Charles Barkley. Yeah, Orlando's a great place to fucking have a gathering of a bunch of fucking athletes.
Get a hooker with Warren Sapp.
And then not pay the bitch.
Because Warren Sapp, bitch, that's why.
That's possibly one of the greatest sports stories ever.
Didn't you get the memo you pay a hooker to leave? That's the whole point. Motherfucker, if she goes, I'm gonna need an extra $200 to go, you go, I'm Warren Sapp, here's your extra $200, have a nice day, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Now if you're Warren Sapp the bus driver, then you got a problem. But you are Warren Sapp, former fucking football player. Cough up the extra $200 so she keeps her mouth shut and doesn't yell sexual assault, and send the bitch on her way.
Yeah, but Warren Sapp, the former football player, is broke and filed bankruptcy.
Yeah, I'm saying, in his defense, I've heard Warren Sapp, the former football player, has not spent his money the greatest.
No.
But I think that is a perfect place to end the show, right there. Can't get any better than that. Warren Sapp, stiffing hookers at the Super Bowl. So thanks to everybody who has listened, who's downloaded, who shares it. If you like it, tell somebody. We're slowly but surely, it's best month ever. Again, every month, just keeps going up. So more people are listening every month. At Sporgy Podcast on Twitter, at Sporgy_podcast on Instagram. You can email us, sporgy@ChristopherMedia.net. And, go Lions? Sure, why not? I mean, it's a playoff game. It's January football. We're talking about January football.
I got pride.
So we'll get you guys next week.
All right, later, guys.
I will be here for every episode, picking every game, guys. Don't worry. I ain't going nowhere.
So, are you going to pick the Lions in the